actual debut thanks to Kevin's willingness and open-mindedness, but also Lou's acceptance and being like, hell yeah, anything for Kevin. So let's take it away. Lou, give us a brief introduction, lead us up to the point of how you met Kevin McCall.
Sure. My name is Lucian Friel. I go by Lou. Kevin mentioned Lou Juice. I do not go by that name anymore. I am reformed. Um, and many other Lou variations. It's kind of like hot tub time machine, like the Lugal and all that. Just if it works and I can put my name in front of it, I'm going to do it. In fact, I made a dish the other day and I'm calling it BB Lou pulled pork. So just an example of my corny ass doing stuff like that.
That's clever.
Um, I am from Portsmouth, Virginia, not Boston. I think Kevin was might be like reminiscing maybe the movie Road Trip where he's like gets confused as to whether it's Austin or Boston.
Yeah, I'm kind of simple like that. Sorry.
The University of Boston in Massachusetts. But no, I do think I don't know if I maybe I carry a Boston sort of attitude that might have it is sort of that upper or mid to upper East Coast sort of mentality I guess that was carried with me because I am originally from the DMV just outside of DC from a town called Gaithersburg, Maryland, and then I moved to Portsmouth, Virginia, where I went to middle school and high school and joined the Marine Corps. And the reason I joined the Marine Corps is kind of crazy, like. I just kind of fell behind on the kind of gateway to college. Like I was scared to take the SAT, so I just kept putting it off and kept putting it off and never took it. And then I'm like, oh, I haven't like done any applications and I haven't like looked at any colleges. Like I don't know what I want to do with my life. And I'm like, and at this point, I know a lot of times people are like, "Oh, these kids nowadays have their lives like figured out, like or mapped out for them by the time they're in like middle school." Which I have nieces and nephews. I can kind of see, but I mean, for the most part, it's still the same. Like, um, there's a lot of pressure when you get to like sophomore, junior, senior year of like, what are you doing? What's going on? Are you going to college? You major in something? You join the military? And so the military was kind of like in the back of my mind because we had a family friend who joined the Marines. He's my older brother's friend. My brother's 10 years older than me. And so I'm a kid seeing him come home like seeing what he was before and then seeing him come home like cut up from the gut up. He's got the moto cut. Um, just looking fly and like had his dress blues on. I'm like, dang man, like that's cool. And and then 9/11 happens. And I hate to I don't want to sound cliche of like cuz as a combat correspondent, I wrote tons of stories and we always had to ask the question of like why did you join the Marine Corps? And during that time, like that was like the canned response. That was like, but it was, I mean, for a lot of people, it was true. Like, and for me, it was much the same. Like that happened, and it just so happened that my brother, the same brother I'm referring to, I have two brothers and two sisters. Shout out. Um, and they, or I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But my brother was actually on a flight from Dulles to LAX, which is also the track of the plane that went into the Pentagon. And so we spent the first part of the day like thinking that he was on that plane. Like when they finally like we knew that he was on a plane that day. We knew he was going to LA. And then when they started saying like where the flights were going, we were freaked out. And I'm thinking I just lost my big brother. Um, and I just remember seeing like them showing video. This is like 4 p.m. now on that day, and they're showing like videos of them burning the American flag, and like my connection to it is not much like Americana, like, but it's like they're celebrating my brother's death, even though I know that like you know, and luckily my brother was not on a plane. or not on the plane. He ended up getting stranded somewhere in the middle of the country. He was actually a journalist for a magazine called Government Executive at the time, and he wrote a story about his experience on 9/11, getting stranded in this little small American town and them taking them in, all the people that were on these flights. So they landed in a really small little airport, and the town just took everybody in, gave them a free place to stay, free meals, things like that. Um, so yeah, I remember that feeling, and I was just like, I'm joining the Marines. Like, fuck that. Like, I want to go. Like, sign me. And I just remember that feeling. And then we got the call from my brother that he was okay. But that feeling never, like, that feeling was still in me, like, of like, you had a passion to do that when you thought that it was one of your loved ones. Like, imagine, and I'm, you know, capable body to join. And so I started imagining like other people who didn't get that phone call from their loved one telling them that they're okay, that their loved one was on one of the planes or in one of the buildings. And yeah, that kind of prompted it. And I ended up joining in my senior year. I ended up signing up, um, going to boot camp in October of 2003. And I actually convinced a buddy of mine from high school to join with me. So we were in the buddy program. And anybody that knows anything about the buddy program in the Marine Corps, they will fuck with you when they know that you are in the buddy program. If you fuck up, you're getting fucked up with you. And that lasts pretty much the entire time. And we were trading off. And I think sometimes like we were like purposefully fucking up just for revenge for having to do push-ups previously. Like, well, yeah, you didn't fucking lock your foot locker last time. Like, so yeah, I'm gonna not sound off this time, or I'm gonna laugh online. See how you like it. But we're both getting fucked up at the time. But so yeah, shout out. He won't mind that I say Steven. Shout out to Steven, my good buddy. And yeah, I mean the reason I joined public affairs and combat corresponding was even though I had that like raw emotion of like, yeah, I want to go like fuck stuff like that, you would think that I would automatically just want to be a grunt in that time. But as enough time like eased up, I'm like, well, I do need like I do want to be a journalist. Like I do eventually want to go on and be in the communications field, which oddly enough I am actually still in. Um, that doesn't always happen, I think, for a lot of PAO people. They get jaded about it and they get out and change up careers. Some people stick with it and others don't. But yeah, I ended up sticking with it, and so I knew that I wanted to continue to do that, and it sucks that it's like it lines up so well because it is cliche, but like it's the Full Metal Jacket thing of Joker of like I was the editor in chief of my high school newspaper. Like no shit, I was, and so. Um, as much as I try to distance myself from that movie, if you're ComCam and you're PAO, you are stuck
Dude, I
dealing
got
with
Raptor Man constantly,
you,
all the time.
yeah, you a photographer. Oh, for anybody listening out there that's still in the Marine Corps, if you're a machine gunner or squad automatic weapon, like don't say that shit. You see the public affairs people, don't come on. It's it's cringeworthy, dude. Don't do that. But yeah, because the response is always like, oh, okay, yeah. Um, but yeah, so yeah, yeah. I ended up, and then I found out the school's in Maryland, which is where I'm from, and I don't know if it's been covered already, but we all go to school together, combat correspondence, combat camera, um, graphic design, which actually was a real job at one point in the Marine Corps, like combat artist, and And then all the public affairs and anything basically in the communications field goes to the Defense Information School, DINFOS, in Fort Meade, Maryland. And so that enticed me to do it, and I jumped on, and yeah, let's see, we graduated boot camp in January of 2004. Went on recruiter's assistance, of course. Went back to my high school in uniform and did the whole boot thing for sure. Look at me now.
What's
Look at
up,
me now.
ladies?
Look at me now. Yeah, right. Who wants to come live in base housing and go go fucking broke in the first year because we spent too much money on a 10-year-old vehicle
I
with
need a wife to
fucking
take credit cards out in my name.
right. Excuse me. No, but yeah, I did the whole recruit assistant thing for about a month, and then went off to Camp Johnson for the Marine combat training, which any non-infantry Marine has to go through. It's about a month long. You get kind of just like the basics of it. At the time, they were still doing a lot of like jungle warfare style training, which I don't know if they changed it, but God, I hope they did, and they started doing more like city urban warfare type stuff. But at the time, I mean, that's what we were still kind of getting like the jungle warfare style of training at the time. Um, but I mean, I don't want to say that the Marine Corps wasn't like still teaching us things we need to know. How to dig a foxhole, how to dig, your own little sleeping grave, things like that. Just as a quick example, but and if you like combat movements and stuff like that. But yeah, and then I went to Dimfos. Was a pretty strong student and a pretty strong Marine. Like I was leading cadences and stuff. Like I was super gung ho. I was super into it. Um, but kind of as the Iraq War started happening and really happening and still happening, and like, okay, my recruiter told me this would be over like within the first like 7 months. And again, like I was all like I had the full mindset of like I'm going to Afghanistan, like, and I was fully on board with that. But with the invasion of Iraq, it just didn't make sense to me. Um, and I kind of got into like a little bit of like the conscientious objector sort of thing. I started reading a lot of material on stuff like that, and I eventually called a hotline and got some really shitty advice to go UA and get kicked out. And so that was like boiling up, and this is right before I'm about to graduate from MOS school. I graduate from MOS school. I get the orders to go to Second Marine Division, Camp Lejeune, public affairs. And I think I make it about a month before I pulled the trigger on that stupid ass idea, and I went UA for 3 days. And when I tell you that like I was considered like the biggest piece of shit in public affairs at that point, like because word got back really quick. It's a small knit community from PAO to ComCam, and it's all intertwined. It's like, hey, you hear about the PAO dumbass that went UA? Not knowing like kind of everything behind. It was again like looking back, it was a stupid decision, but I understand my thought process at the time, and I wasn't thinking long term, and I wasn't thinking about my future at that point. I was just like, fuck this, man. I don't want to do this. And you figure like, damn, you've gone through boot camp, you've gone through all this. I mean, you're like a year in. Like, why would you go? But yeah, it was just a dumb decision that I made, and but I came back, and I'm telling the story too because it kind of all ties into when I met Kevin, um, and how quickly we clicked. Um, and I'll just go ahead and tell that part, like, and then we'll get to it. But when I met Kevin, I hadn't really met a lot of Marines yet that like kind of felt the same way that I did, like fully, like we shouldn't fucking be here, like this sucks. And not anyone that was openly willing to say that. Like I would interview some grunts and it's hot as shit. And I'm like, how does it feel to help the Iraqi people and kind of doing the hearts and minds sort of propaganda that Kevin was talking about? Um, and it's, I do agree. It is full on like propaganda, but not in the sense that like we're lying or doing anything like that. We are just telling a one-sided story. We're telling the story of the Marine Corps through the Marine Corps lens, and that does not yield a lot of like pushback when it comes to the writing, right? Like we're not gonna write the other side. We're not gonna be like, well, how is this affecting, whatever country we're in? We're not gonna really do that. Um, Here's their perspective, like on it. So, um, but I don't regret any story that I wrote. We never, like I said, we never lied. We never, we may have omitted information. But and a lot of it, like I honestly, I'm sure I used the phrase like yielding the flag of freedom as he stormed through. Like, I mean, it was some poetic, like some stuff, some little phrases thrown in there. Like
That is poetic.
he's a true hero, true warrior,
I salute you,
and a
sir.
true citizen of this great country of ours.
You know what? More than a salute,
Fully
I
objective.
sit at parade rest for you.
Right. This bud's for you. Uh, so yeah, so long story short, I got some people who really cared about me, pulled me aside and were like, this is a decision that you made to join the Marine Corps, and you're gonna regret this for the rest of your life if you follow through with this. You need to go back. You made a commitment. And then my dad was the biggest, like, I was damn near in tears when he was just like, I've never been more proud of you than the day I saw you become a Marine. And he said, and I'm still proud of you, and I'll always be proud of you, but you got to go back, or you'll never be a man of your word. You're going back on the commitment that you made, and you need to always commit to what you say you're going to do. So that was it, man. I went back, took my punishment, stood in front of Sergeant Major of Headquarters Battalion, Second Marine Division, got chewed out, got called everything under the sun by everyone else, including the company first sergeant, who, yeah, now we won't go into what ended up happening with that person, but let's just say that I'm not the one that wasted taxpayer dollars. Um, Lance Corporal. And so, anyways, I took it as an opportunity then, like I'm like at the bottom of the barrel here, like there's nowhere to go but up. So like even if I do like the smallest amount of stuff, I'm gonna look like, oh, he's really turned things around. Look at this. Even though I knew that like from the school and anyone that knew me at the schoolhouse would say like, yeah, he was like, into all his studies, was running like was like kind of a Marine's Marine. I didn't always have like the PT score for it or anything like that, PFT score, but I always tried and I always gave 110%. And so yeah, it was nothing for me to kind of just click back into that and just go full throttle and ended up attaching to 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marines. They started putting combat correspondents in at the battalion level, whereas with Kevin and the other combat cameramen, they were at the regimental level going out to the battalions. So um, that was kind of the difference in the makeup of that. And yeah, ended up attaching to 3-2. Went out for training in California. Some of the best training that I've ever gotten was with 3-2. It fully prepared me, I think, for what we were getting ready to go into, and just figuring out where I needed to be in a lot of situations and where I could be was really helpful. But I will vouch for Kevin when he says there was a certain gunnery sergeant that was definitely a little asshole about things. Um, And I don't want to repeat what Kev, but I share his sentiments. Um, who's the pogue now, bitch? Uh, but yeah, I think it was difficult for me after that because at that time, um, I had two of the combat cameramen that Kevin ended up being with, and that we ended up being with at our RCT2. Um, and so I had the both of them kind of, and we were like a little trio. And so it was kind of like a little buffer and a little cushion for me. And then once we got to Iraq, like they went away to RRTC2, and now it's just me, Lance Corporal Schmuckatelli, 20 years old, in an infantry battalion for the first time in my life, like actually attached to them. And California was great in that I had already made friends and like figured out where I fit in the battalion, and that was with the S3. Um, Even though they attached me administratively to the S1, I hung out with the S3 guys all the time because um, the corporal for ComCam had told me, he was like, S3 is where you want to be. That's where you're going to find out like where the training and operations happens. So you're going to want to hang out with them and get the intel ahead of time so that you know where you need to be. So that was some great advice that he gave. Shout out to him in Connecticut. Um, I don't hate your guts. Um, love you, buddy. They, so yeah, he set me up for success, I think, on that. And I ended up, yeah, deploying with 3-2 in February of '05. Um, and it was difficult at first because even though they had seen us and like seen me like go on raids, like mock raids, of course, like during training, embedding in the platoon, that was happened to be with a different company. Like we were with India company during that, I think, for the most part, and a little bit of Lima company. Um, and when we got to Al Qaim, which is, I don't know distance wise what it was from Al Asad, but it was a good little ways away.
Or yeah,
Probably like a 2 to 3. What would you say? Two, three
it's a
hour
good two,
convoy?
3 hours north of Haditha. It was far north of Haditha and up by Ubaidi. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, it's 20 miles from the Syrian border. And when we got there, what they had done is they had actually split the battalion up and sent, there's a forward outpost called Camp Gannon in Husayba, and they sent India Company out there. And then Lima Company actually got stuck. I say stuck because they did not want to do that. No infantry battalion wants to stand gate and guard duty for any base when they're supposed to be going out with the rest of their unit and conducting combat operations. Now, I do know that they conducted operations from Al Assad in some of the surrounding towns, but they weren't with 3-2. And if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna take a. Um, and So yeah, they ended up staying at Al Assad. That is where I do believe Kevin got the introduction eventually from of Mr. Pissed Off. Not sure 100%, but I do think um, that he was with that company. Um, and yeah, I ended up at Alcon was weapons company, um, a small part of Fourth Civil Affairs Group, a reservist amphibious assault vehicle unit out of Virginia Beach and the Virginia area. So I connected with them immediately. And then Kilo Company and headquarters company of 3-2. Um, and so again, I just don't think that they knew what to do with me, and I didn't have the experience or the voice to stand up for myself. Once I found that, and Kevin really did help in finding that voice later on down the road. everything was so much easier. And I had wished that I'd had that sort of from the start, and sort of that experience and guidance, because I did have. I don't want to like bounce around. I know I am kind of bouncing around trying to keep it chronological, but yeah, I spent like the first month like just I had a quota of I think 3 stories a week that I had to write and send up to the regiment, which would then get sent back to Lejeune and published out to where it needed to go. So I had to make the quota, but I wasn't getting put on any operations, and I was asking, and they were just like, "Oh, we don't have room for you on this one." And I didn't have again the experience that Kevin has, where it's like I'll sit in the turret, like, or find like I'll do whatever, like just get me on this op, like I need to be on this op. I didn't have that experience, so I was just like, okay, all right, we'll stay behind, and fucking march back. And yeah, I spent the first month just running around digging up every story I could. And at the time we were doing a lot of heavy like personality features. So we would, even if we wrote about an operation, we would tie that all into one individual Marine, excuse me, or handful of Marines, and tie it back to like, here's your hometown hero, like out here fighting the good fight, all that good stuff. And those were the types of stories that they wanted. They wanted more personality feature type things like that. Even if it was hard news. I mean, they still were wanting the hard news story, but if you did a hard news story, you need to do 2 personality features along with it. So I was just, finding out like, okay, they went out on an op, and so even though I couldn't go, I would just go up and interview them, like, oh, how was the op? And they're like, oh yeah, 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 it was great. Yeah, we'd love to have you out there. And I'm like, yeah, I know, me too. And so I'm like taking, and like for photos, I'm taking like staging stuff like staring down the barrel and like trying like to put on your gear, dude, like make it look like, I mean, I'm not saying like we were faking stuff because they were still like, it would be, I would just catch them during like training or something like that instead, like that was on the base or something, or um, like if they were kind of doing like a run through of what the operation was going to be. Because like there were certain things that tactically it didn't make sense for me to go on, but it would be good experience for me to do, which I ended up luckily having the experience of going on like night raids and stuff like that because I didn't have any night vision capabilities to take photos, but I didn't realize that you could take that through the night vision. Like you can line it up a certain way. You have to just do it very carefully. But I didn't have that skill set to do that. So I would take pictures of their practicing it, and then once the operation was done, then I would publish out the photos, like, and the caption would read like, I wasn't bullshitting on this. Like I wasn't gonna be like he stares down the enemy or anything like that. It would be like, he's snapping in, practicing, getting ready to go out in the field or getting ready to go out in the fight. Um, so yeah, it was like a month of that, and then something happened with one of the cameras or something with Intel, and they had a big operation coming up, which would end up being Operation Matador, and they needed somebody to take reconnaissance photos, and I had a camera, and to put they put 2 and 2 together, and they're like, "All right, buddy, you're in the game," and I'm like, "Woo!" Just riding the bench this whole damn time. I'm a better quarterback. Tom Brady from Boston is coming in. And yeah, I'm all amped up. I'm like, got the chin strap. I'm like, yeah, ready to go. And God, if 5 months from then me could like look back on that dude and be like, you boot, you pogue bitch, look at you. Ugh. Ugh, they can see it, man. Stop showing your excitement.
I
But
heard
it
the bears can smell the menstruation.
bears can smell the menstruation. But it really was cool, like hanging outside of a fucking helicopter, like strapped in, of course, but like fucking holy shit. And then kind of hearing rounds like kind of popping towards you. Uh, I mean, I wasn't like mathematician or anything like that, so I can't like figure out exactly how far shit was. But you know, they were telling me afterwards, they were like, "Oh, I think you got pretty close at one point." And I was like, "Oh shit! Well, thanks for not telling me while we were up there, because I was just thinking they were like missing terribly." Um, but yeah, so it was just, and I know I sent you that one photo. I was using that lens, that long lens, and just snapping away. And I did find out later on that those photos did help kind of organize that operation, which I'm very proud of. Because again, I was like, this is the first time I was ever in any type of situation like that.
I would be proud to become a combat cameraman also. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It was like I kind of ended up getting taken under the wing and like adopted by ComCam. We had a lieutenant unfortunately get hurt during Operation Matador, and so I lost my lieutenant. Like they sent him back to the rear. And shout out to him, man. I'm glad he recovered, and I'm glad that he's okay. Along with another combat correspondent who ended up getting really, really
Yeah.
severely burned. I mean, he's a public figure, Corporal Mankin, and he was a good friend of mine. And I remember and this is all of this is before I even meet Kevin. And so this is, I was want to say Matador was in like early May or late April, but early Mayish. And that was like a big thing. Like they brought us all together. And I think that's maybe, were you on Matador, Kev?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
when we met.
I
I don't
think,
think
yeah, we
yeah,
met, but we weren't like,
we weren't
we didn't
together
have an
yet.
opportunity to really
Yeah.
connect.
I think after, yeah, exactly. Yeah. We met a few times, but we never really,
And I think we met in passing, like even before that when we were back at Lejeune. But again, it was never really like I didn't know you. I
yeah.
mean, and you didn't know me. We just knew of each other, through those kind of quick, small interactions. Like, oh, this is Corporal McCall. Oh, cool.
I was out chasing girls and getting in trouble, man.
But so they did, sort of the divide and conquer thing. They attached me to second LAR for some reason. I don't really remember, but I was like, oh, well, no, I'm with 3-2. And they're like, well, not now. This is bigger than that. This is bigger than you, dude. And I'm like, but this is my chance to like get in with them, really. Like, because I had then like after the whole helicopter thing that happened in like I want to say early April, because I spent all of March again like writing the hearts and minds fob stories. And then April comes along, I get the opportunity taking those photos. And then I started getting like little things here and there, like, hey, come out, go out with CAG. And they're gonna pass out soccer balls to local kids or stuff like that. Like, okay, so we do that, and hey, go out with weapons company. They're going out on just, and this is all like 1 day things, like afternoon patrols, things like that. So nothing really big. So Matador was like my first real big thing, and yeah, I ended up with second LAR, and I ended up on the first sergeant's vehicle. And because they were just like, yeah, you could just go with the first sergeant. And that first sergeant was badass, though, man. He was cool as hell. Like, I'll second it with Kevin. I mean, I will always shout out my 3-2 dogs. But the second LAR was a very second close as far as like favorite unit. Um, and the funny thing is, so they sat me in like the passenger seat of the LAV. They're like, yeah, you can ride up front. And I'm like, all right, sweet. Dude, that shit was comfortable as hell. And like I've dozed off and fell asleep. And like I had not really, aside from like the little pop pops on the helicopter, I hadn't experienced any combat yet at that point. So I didn't know what the shit like really sounded like. I could always hear stuff in the distance. And so that's what I thought was going on. I'm not ashamed. I fucking slept through the first part of Operation Matador, and I'm fucking ashamed to say it, but I'm just gonna fucking admit it because that is what the fuck happened. I was comfy as hell in that little thing, dude. I had that little fan on me and shit.
They
And I'm
hum. They hum. They put you to sleep.
yeah, and I'm sitting there like hearing this shit go, and then finally the first sergeant like taps in there, like, "Hey, Sleeping Beauty, you gonna come out anytime soon?" And I was like, "Oh shit, what's?" I was like, "Oh, first sergeant, we here?" Like, "Oh, we're there." I'm like the little kid that fell asleep in the back that had been saying like, "Are we there yet?" And then fell asleep and like had to get woken up and like taken into the house. And like so I get out there and luckily like our vehicle really hadn't started doing anything yet. And you know, I just remember the first sergeant saying, uh, when he gave the official order, like, "Yeah, we're clear to engage," and I was like, "Oh shit, what? Like, what do I do?" And so I just did what other Marines did, but I shot like 2 or 3 rounds, and then I was like, I need to be like taking care like pictures, and so I did like what Kevin was talking about of like put the rifle down, they got it, and like I'm gonna be honest, the shit that like I knew what I was firing at, right? Like you don't pull the trigger on anything that you're not like sure what you're aiming at. But did my shit like land? I don't know. Like I don't think I was having much of an impact, especially when they had fucking hell helos coming in like firing and blowing shit the hell up. It was like let's shoot at the bomb. Like um but that wasn't necessarily like we were actually we were taking fire, and so that it was kind of a thing back, but like shooting back. But yeah, I just started taking pictures. They're shitty photos because it was like morning and the sun was just starting to come up, and like I just wasn't really a skilled photographer. Just to be honest with you, I was more of a writer, and and this is where again like having Kevin and the boys with ComCam helped me because I would ask questions and like because like this is all they do. This is what they do. You know, they take photos. I have to take photos and write stories. Now, I'm not saying writing stories is like fucking backbreaking work or anything, and I can do it in the rear with the gear, and I've proved it. But with the photos, like I wasn't a really strong photographer, and they helped me so much. And if I showed you all the photos from Iraq and you watch them chronologically, you just see them get better. And I credit Kevin and I credit the boys for that, for showing me what to do. So hats off to you. Beanies off to you.
Eric was probably our best photographer, and he wasn't even ComCam. He was graphics. He was a
Right.
lithographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
crazy
I mean,
thing.
he an amazing photographer. Still, his work, I've seen it online. It's breathtaking. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of really strong photographers within ComCam.
And he was awesome with too. He was the type of guy that like he's gonna pick with you and like and mess around with your brain a little bit. He's just a smart dude, but yeah, he messed around with you a little bit, see how far he could kind of go. And
That's a really polite way of saying
it is, yeah, it's.
it.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying not to like go
It's
too
been
crazy.
20 years, so you can say it politely now.
I'll just say this. All right, Kev, take a drink. Just take, just drink real quick. I'll show you how he would look at me.
That's it,
Every
100%.
time I would sip, I'd be sipping my little Camelback, and he's like,
Bro, I have some weird fucking stories about. I was in I wasn't just in Iraq with him. I was in Haiti with him also. And whether the guy likes me or not, I think he likes me. I have a lot of respect for him. Again, he's an amazing photographer. He's a great Marine, but
Oh shit.
I think he'll appreciate what I'm about to say. He is one of the weirdest fucking people I've ever met in my life. What a weird fucking guy, man, but really just talented and skilled. So, and
yeah,
like you said, very intelligent.
and to his credit, like if you had questions, he would show you. He's
Yeah.
like, hey, this photo is all fucked up. Like, how do I do this better next time? And he's like, oh, well, change your aperture, or change it to manual or not manual focus. Change it to or autofocus. Uh, change it to manual focus, I should say. Um, uh, but yeah, he was always willing to show you. He was just gonna
Mhm.
do it in a weird ass way, like
Yeah.
maybe like rub your thumb while
Yeah.
you hand him the, the thing and just again, just testing to see like how far he could push it with you. Like, when is he gonna snap on me? Because I did snap on him one time, and
Everyone did.
he started
Everyone did.
laughing at me, and it was so frustrating.
Dude, I was in the middle of PT. We had our boot drop with all of our boots, and it was me and him kind of leading. He was leading PT obviously because he outranked me, but he was leading PT, and he said something to me, and I just snapped. And I called him something. I mean, it was very bad in front of everybody, in front of everybody. And like all of our boots were just like, oh, because
You
it was
can
pretty
do
bad. So,
that?
yeah, no, I mean they knew that I was senior Lance or second award Lance at the time. I don't even know where the fuck I was
Salt
at the
dog, man.
yeah. So they knew that I was and he was also while he was repro, he fell under video and I was senior in the photo section. So we had all of, a lot of the guys like that you also went to Denfos with. I think they were after you, kind of like Shane and all those other guys. But
No, no. Actually, Shane and I were in the same class together.
oh, really? Okay. Well, then
Yeah.
that boot, I guess the boot drop that you were in, were for us.
Yep.
I just like I straight up, very unprofessionally insulted. I insulted him right in front of everybody because it was like I've been through a deployment with this guy. I'm about to go through another, and he finally fucking got to me. He finally did it, and it's just like, man,
Because and dude, he gets you like he
yeah.
and he wins in that moment because he finally got you. He's like,
Well,
I
everybody
think that
heard me
that was
call him
just
something.
his goal, and I think it's the way he entertained himself. And
Yeah,
but shout out to him, man. Like I'm so glad.
absolutely.
I have seen some things, like stuff on from him online. I'm glad to see that he's doing well, as I am with everybody um, that we were with, and every Marine, of course. We always root for each other no matter what, or even you just meet somebody and they're a completely different generation than you. It's a small world. I ended up went to Virginia Commonwealth University and met a ComCam Marine there who knew who was under some of the same people, but they were just sergeants when I was in. And it was just I was like, damn, this is such a small world, dude.
Yeah,
And and so automatically, even with her, I was just like, yeah, I know the type that you've got to be because if they're the ones that trained you, yeah, you're good to go. So, um, yeah, man, I yeah, some Matador happens. Aaron Mankin gets hurt. The kind of jacked up part of that is that there was a chance that I could have been on that same AAV with him. And in fact, in his place, like it was kind of a last minute thing, I think, for him to even join. They were like, "Hey, we need another PAO Marine. Um, go for it." And I remember him even asked, like, the night before, he's like, "Do you have any tips, like, about being with the infantry?" And I'm like, "Bro, I've only been on like four operations. Like, you need to be asking some of these other guys that have been moving through." But I gave him like, just a few things that I knew here and there. But I mean, it wasn't going to stop what ended up happening. Nothing would. And I think I've come to grips with that because when we got back from Matador, I didn't know that he was a part of that. I knew what had happened, but I didn't know that that was his AAV,
yeah,
along with my lieutenant. And I'm just like, holy shit, like, what now? Like, not just, and that's, I'm not saying that in a selfish way, but it's like, I don't have a lieutenant now. Like, where do I go? Like, who do I send my stuff to? Like, um, and, Yeah, luckily they had somebody step in who had public affairs experience and was a good friend from the schoolhouse. And by good friend, I mean a gunny and like, uh, but a guy that had my back when I went UA and saw something in me that other people weren't going to give a chance because saw what I was at the schoolhouse and saw that like there's something in this guy that is different. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if I'm that much different than anybody else, but like I I just wanted to do the best job that I could, and the great kind of reward to that is that I got to tell all those people without even saying it, fuck off. You thought that I was a piece of shit. You thought I was un-American. You thought I was this. You thought I was that. Fuck you, dude. Did you see what I just did in Iraq in fucking not even 7 months? I really only had like 6 months of active time because that first month was what it was, you know. So that's kind of how I look at it, and but yeah, that kind of like brush meeting with Kev was kind of cool, like, and just having us all together. But then of course, you know, Matador ends, and now like 3-2 is fully on board, you know, with Comcam and PAO, at least at the Kilo company level and headquarters company and weapons company. Um, and I got to go out. This is something too that I failed to mention, but I got to go out to Camp Gannon and meet the India Company 3-2 Marines. I unfortunately, because they were out there and I wasn't really able to get there, and I ended up on other operations. I only really wrote one story on them, but that one story ended up being in Leatherneck Magazine and ended up winning Story of the Year. And it's not because I wrote it. It's not anything I wrote. It's because they wrote the story. Like they did the shit, man. And like all I did was just guide them through telling the story. Like let's go chronologically. Let's just take people through what happened. And that story, if anyone is interested, it's Attack at Huseba, India 3-2 Stand Against the Insurgency. It's in Leatherneck Magazine. I want to say it was July of 2005. Um, that edition. But yeah, you know, and I saw my writing differently after that. Of like, I'm not doing anything but just putting keyboard, you know, letters on in a Word doc. You know, would say pen to paper, but I mean, I'm not manuscripting this thing, mailing it by Falcon. Um, so, um, but yeah, that was something that I kind of really started taking to heart, and I think that the Marines may have seen that come out more because um, I just tried to embed myself with them and be a part of their unit because I didn't want to ever be a part of the story, but I wanted to experience what they were experiencing so that I could write a better story for them and for what they were doing. And I, you know, I hope that other combat correspondents felt the same way when they wrote. You know, I know that's not the case, um, but I feel like that's how it should be handled, how our MOS should be taken. You know, we're here to tell the Marines Corps story, but we're here to tell the Marines story, and I say that on an individual level.
So I'm gonna interject super quick, because
Yeah,
Lucian,
yeah.
you're definitely gonna dig this. Kevin, I think I showed Kevin this if I remember correctly. I don't remember if I did though. Um, But you know, if you watched, you did watch the interviews. I have a connection with a lot of the Vietnam ISO guys, as they were called in the era, the 67, 68 guys. And what I'm holding here, in terms of MOS, this is your forefathers. This is my friend Steve Bernston, who was a combat correspondent in 67, 68. He is the inspiration for one of the characters in Full Metal Jacket because he and Gus Hasford were tight. That is no joke. I can send you those interviews if you want to watch them. These are his field notebooks he carried in country and wrote his
Uh,
stories in. This one, which is the most badass one in a multitude of ways is the one he had on him in Way City when he was writing about the Citadel when he got hit and wounded by an RPG. So
Jeez.
he sent that to me. We're super good friends. This man is coming to my wedding. That's the crazy thing to say. Like
Nice,
he's
man.
dead set, dude. Bernie's a cool dude. If you're interested after this, I can give you some email if you want to reach out to literally one of your predecessors. That is the reason you got the legacy you got today, man.
That'd be awesome, man. Like dude, I joked earlier about like the poetry of like what we write. Those guys back then, I mean, they were writing poetry, man. Like they were like the true like poets of
Damn.
our field, you know? Like
So in Vietnam, I'm gonna be a nerd here. Sorry, everybody who's gonna watch this, and apologies to y'all. But this is it's a sea tiger. These newspapers were published weekly in country in Vietnam from November 10th, 1965. Um, y'all two know that date. Hopefully, the rest of the viewers can figure out why November 10th is important until 1970, and I've got a lot of the editions that like Bernie wrote in. Dell Dye is also a combat correspondent. Anybody who's seen Band of Brothers, The Pacific, Saving Private Ryan, Platoon, I've got these stories of Dell Dye writing, as a grunt in Vietnam. So it's really fascinating to see what. Combat cameramen like Kevin or combat photographers. The reason Kevin and I got connected is because I posted on a Reddit page on the USMC forum about a friend of mine, Dennis Fisher, who was a combat photographer in 67, 68, his memoirs coming out in November this year. And Kevin's comment was, yo, shout out to my fellow comcam men. And I literally said, hey, Kev, if you're interested in telling your story, let me know. And we started talking, and that's led us to here. So I will stop interjecting right there on that. But Kevin, I want to bring you in now. Because Kevin's quiet. I've never heard Kevin this quiet. Kevin's always laughing his ass off. He's got himself muted. We can't even hear him laugh right now.
yeah, I hope I haven't like monopolized this. I was just
No, 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 no. You haven't
No,
at all.
dude.
No.
This first of all, this is awesome. I'm having the time of my life seeing, in many ways, all of this come together. Because I've got Kevin's picture and seeing how you intervening to Kevin's story has been really sweet, and it's connected a lot of dots for me. But Kevin, I want you to paint the picture of when you and Lou first hook up, and I'm going to transition that to Lou of what you're seeing each other, how each other looks 20 years ago. Is it a humorous interaction when you guys first click and realize, oh shit, we're a dynamic duo. We're like Batman and Robin. I'm gonna let y'all fight out who's Batman and who's Robin. That's not my place to say.
He brought up a good point a minute ago. It's rare that you meet Marines. Like I'm just gonna say this, if it puts me on a list or whatever, but it's rare that you meet Marines that are leftists or have progressive ideals. It's extremely rare. So when you're having a conversation with someone and they say something and you give them the side eye while they're giving you the side eye, it's typical that you're going to click. Now, I say typical, and that is not a good word to use because in the Marine Corps, especially, it is not typical. Um, when you meet someone that you can have conversations with about existence and reality about, and you're not arguing or fighting or even debating, I think that's a really special thing, no matter where you are. But when you're in a situation like combat, it's just that much more profound, in my opinion. It's just more powerful. I think we both needed each other in that time. He was going through everything he just explained. I was going through everything I've been explaining. Um, I had a lot of personal things going on at the time too that I haven't really delved into. I anyway, I my first time I can't tell you. We like a second ago we were kind of trying to figure it out sort of in a roundabout way. I can't tell you the first time I met him. But I can tell you my favorite memory of him. And it's when we were sitting in an AAV singing at the top of our lungs after we hadn't slept for like 2 or 3 days or something. We had finished this invasion and we were heading back to Al Assad, I'm pretty sure, in the back of a track, stuffed in there with a bunch of ISF soldiers. And we were singing some 80s song at the top of our lungs, man. I mean, as loud as we could. And all of these ISF guys were looking at us like we had this dick coming out of our foreheads. I mean, they looked at us like we were so weird. But we sang for like 2 hours. We sang like the same shitty verse of the same shitty song over and over and over. And I feel like, just sorry, one sec. I feel like that was really important because it wasn't so much that we were connecting in that moment by singing or just by the moment or where we were. It was the emotional release that we were both having from everything that we had gone through. Everyone that we had lost at that point, everyone that we had known at that point and we were worried about. um the cognitive dissonance that comes with not trying to worry about yourself, like having to worry about your own life is such an unreal aspect. I think everyone successfully blocks it off in their day to day, but I think when you're in that situation, it's just such a profound existence, and it's just kind of looming over you at all points in time. I feel like he was that guy who I was able to connect with on a very mortal platform, if that makes any fucking sense whatsoever. It was another human being who felt the way I did in the moment that I felt it. And I consider him a lifelong friend now. I don't think we've actually talked. I haven't even seen you aside from photos on Facebook since Iraq. I don't think I've heard your voice since Iraq. We've talked a couple times on Facebook Messenger, I think, but nothing, and that was like over a year ago. So it's been a really long time, but even now I still feel that connection, and it's only because of that shared kind of outlook on life. And I think it's something that only someone who's been through what we had been through and lost what we had lost and known the people that we had known and lived the experiences that we lived, while having the outlooks that we had, if that makes any sense. So
I will open the floor now for the shenanigans. But in many ways, Kevin,
Yeah.
that's poetic, and but it's also it's beautiful to see like the friendship that is built in the situation that both of you guys are in, and how it has carried over to this very moment right now.
yeah. I think a lot of the reason we probably haven't talked in 20 years is a lot of the reason people aren't ready to talk to you about this. This is fucked up to think about. Yeah, honestly, how else am I going to explain it? 20 years ago, the guy you knew, I'm still that dude, but like I've lived a whole fucking life. I've had so much life and loss and love, and I've had both my parents die. I've like I lost my first wife died. Like fucking crazy stuff's happened. So I'm this different person, but I'm still the same person. But I don't think that that changes anything because of the root of the relationship. I honestly I think that's going to be a stronger connection than any others that I have in my life. And it's gonna last. It's just gonna last. We can I've met a few of my friends. I went last February, not this past February, but last year's February. I went to Camp Lejeune or Camp Johnson for the retirement of one of the combat cameramen that I was deployed with. And I met someone you commented on earlier, Shane. He came down and I flew out and we went to our friend's retirement, and it was this really cool experience. And I was kind of nervous about it, to be honest. I was thinking, I haven't seen him in so long. He has this whole life, and I have this whole life, and we really don't talk. But when he picked me up at the airport, and we went to the hotel, and we were just chatting, it seemed like we were never apart. I mean, honestly, and I'm sure you've heard this from the Vietnam guys who reconnected as well. It's like they never went anywhere because who we were back then is who we were. It's not like we peaked in high school or anything necessarily, but emotional peaking is completely different than successful peaking. You know what I mean? And I emotionally peaked in Iraq. Um, I have fast cars and fast motorcycles and guns and stupid shit that I do for adrenaline to try to match that shit. I try to chase it every day in my life, and I think a lot of people do. And it's because it's who we are. And I think that someone who's known me for the past 10 years right now doesn't know me anywhere near as much as Lou. That's the truth.
Yeah, I'll echo that. Yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, man. Ditto, dog.
It's the alcohol talking, so you don't have
You could just say you love me, dude. It's
I do,
okay.
man. I have pictures of you on the wall right here.
I'm looking at you while I'm looking at you.
Whenever
Uh,
whenever I'm sitting here, I'm doing that thing that you were saying Eric does. I just look at it and I'm just like, oh, ooh.
mm, so strapping back then.
You
um,
don't look any different, man. If you shave that beard, you would be same old Lou.
no,
You
I mean
haven't
I
aged
packed
at
on
all.
some LBs. I've been through a few down times and pulling myself out of kind of one right now. But I kind of joke that I eat my feelings and I wear my heart on my stomach. So you see the belly pop out, like, oh, Lou's going through it, boy. But I pop out
Well,
on the other end as always. But yeah, do you want kind of my side of meeting Kev?
hell yeah. First of
So
all, I want to start with because he led off with the moment where he's saying I love you, but he didn't know how to say it about his happiest or best memory of you. I want you to lead off with that. What's your best memory of Kevin? Most
oh
favorite.
man,
And if it's
I
the
mean,
poncho story, we can hold on to that one.
so we can hold on to that one. That's up there, dude. It's like.
That's not a favorite story though. That's a really like
Or is it a fantasy?
It's kind of a
that's a
favorite.
rated R story.
It's kind of a favorite. Like, I I I dabbled one time on doing an open mic night stand-up comedy,
That's
and
not what I thought he was leading.
and and I told a Marine Corps story. It wasn't unfortunately it wasn't anything with Kev. It was the time I shit my pants in the Jacksonville Mall at 20 years old. This is right before Iraq, actually. And one of our good buddies, I'm sure we could just say his first name, but Zach, yeah, he was there for that. Like, and he witnessed me fucking ghost them, dude, before ghosting was a thing. And I jumped in a cab, fucking pants you know, full of fucking Waffle House or IHOP or wherever. We went to one of the two. And that was after a field week of MREs, and I wasn't prepared for what was about to happen, a double dose of doo-doo drawers. But yeah, so I think, yeah, gosh, it's kind of like ranking, and I have an answer, but it's like my answer is all of them because there's not one that kind of outshadows or outweighs the other. I think shooting the blood through the window videos was probably one of them because we were just goofing off.
Bro, I
And
didn't even think about that when I answered. I feel like I missed out on my
yeah, I think so. Kev was K Mac and my name was Killer Jake. And we were a parody spoof, if you could even call that. It's not like Spinal Tap or anything like that. It was like good in that sense, but
way
like
better.
we were mimicking the music of one of our colleagues. Have we said his name already? We can say his
Use
first name, right?
first name. I
Shane.
think first names are safe.
First name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shane, who sneak peek a little later. If you guys want to keep going, man, I'll fucking do this all night.
Hell yeah.
But yes, he's the one that gave me the video that we're gonna probably watch if y'all want to.
I
Hell
do.
yeah. Hell
I
yeah. I'm
and,
do.
in.
and and we didn't. I know we did a little sort of pre-game like talk through everything, and I don't even think we needed that, right, Kevin? Like, I
Hell
mean, we
no.
jumped right back into it, just like as always. Even though this really is the first time that like, even though it's digital, that I'm seeing you,
Yeah.
and that you're seeing me. But yeah, I I think generally my favorite moment of our time together is a collective of us riffing off of each other and making people uncomfortable.
We did that a lot,
Did
man.
that a lot, and we did that with a lot of
Too much.
infantry Marines because it was kind of like us. It was like the one moment where like we were have always been trying to prove ourselves to them of like we're
They had to
in,
prove
man.
themselves to us.
We're your brothers, but it was like, yo, we're the cool kids. Who the fuck are you? Like, you need to
Revenge of the
fucking prove to
Poet,
us
man.
that you can take this shit, dude. And we would find some like, and we were picking on squad leaders too. It wasn't like we weren't just picking on the little guy. We weren't just like, hey, little private, like what, what's going on, or PFC or Lance Corporal. I mean, we were ragging them too. But it would just be like we would start having a conversation, then it would just be like one of us would be like, hey, hey, so what's the craziest thing you've done sexually? And then the other one's like, yeah, come on, tell us, man. Tell us, tell us. And we're going back and forth, just again, making them feel uncomfortable. And
I bet you
Kevin
do
would
butt stuff,
use
don't you?
Kevin would use I think he told that story of the guy standing behind him watching the porn, and he would use that phrase. I swear to God, it didn't matter when I watched that the other night because I wanted to catch up with the conversation. I fucking died because it brought everything back when he said, "Yeah, put it in her ass," and like, cause he would just do that shit randomly, and he'd sneak up on me doing it too. Like we'd be on patrol, and we'd get a like stopping point, and he would like slowly, like stealthily. I don't know if it's that little seer training that he did or whatever, the mountain shit that he went and did, but he would snuck up and then just, yeah, put it in her ass. What the fuck? Turn around. And we're in the middle of a patrol, like in the middle, anything could pop off at any moment. That could be the last thing I hear.
That sounds like something I do.
but but yeah, I would say just a collective of it. And I mean, I'll tell the story now. It's a good opportunity to do it. The phrase, no weed, no beer, no whiskey, just cookies and goats, or goats and cookies. We said we've kind of interchanged them a little bit, but I do think
It's just my
I
bad
think
memory
it's
though.
goats
That's
and
that's
cookies.
my fault.
Damn. First of all,
Yeah.
let's pull up the OG. No one can trade. This is real, proving Kevin's stories that people doubt him. This is the engraving and the signatures.
Yeah.
That
I
was on
and
the
I
wall in a blown out house. The house, I'm pretty sure it was a blown out house. Yeah.
It was, yeah, yeah. Like you can see the light coming from what would be the window. No, that's because there
Oh,
was no wall there.
yeah.
Like there was still structure to hold the building up. But but yeah, that light is from just the blown out wall behind us, if I'm remembering right.
No, you're absolutely right.
Because
I
we
think it
did
was
do a
actually
lot of these.
to the right is where the windows and the doors were supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was all gone. And we stopped here for like two
Wagner.
hours to like for a break on chow, right? What did I
Yeah.
miss?
Well, I think anytime we stop for Wagner, you see
Oh,
the annotation. Yeah, I think anytime we stopped for it, like once we had this phrase, that was a wrap, dude. That was
it
like
was everywhere. We wrote
if
it
we could
everywhere.
if we could have printed t-shirts, we would have that day, like and
Yeah.
So,
probably
super fast interjection since you're
yeah.
Kevin and I had a drunken idea for a book. I told him this should be the title of the book. All right. And,
Yeah.
Lou
I'll
gets an
sign off
honorary
on that.
chapter or two. This is the title of the book. And I think that's it. T-shirts, documentaries. That'd be a hell of a documentary.
Just give me
It
my
really
residuals, man. We're good. I'll sign whatever you need to.
Let's see.
No, so the story on this was again, this came because we were riffing on the ISF, the Iraqi Security Forces, and we were, it wasn't that we were like again singling them out. We were treating them just like we did all the 325 Marines that we were, goofing on, and this particular operation that we were on was supposed to only be like a week, I think maybe, or three
Yeah, it
days.
was
It was something
short.
crazy, but they were like, just in case, make sure you bring enough gear for, and I think they said a week, and
Bro,
it
they
turned,
extended us like there were like 3 more days, like 5 times or something stupid.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, or what, it was like shit like that. And yeah, we ended up being out there 3 weeks, literally clearing the city, house to house for 3 weeks nonstop. Um, Hats off to every Marine that was a part of that, because damn,
We were some ripe smelling motherfuckers. I'll tell you that much. We stunk to high hell, man. Every
this
one of
is
us.
this is June and July,
Yeah.
I'll pull
and
this back up. I want to focus on your faces here. Continue.
yeah, so again, going back to the story of how this came about, we're just sitting there having chow. We had some downtime. Iraqi security forces are there. We were a couple guys that we kind of clung to a little bit just because they just I think gravitated to us in general. Um, and I'm talking like the ISF guys. And so we got one of them, and we're just talking about like, it's sort of like, hey, what do you do? What do you do for fun? Like, how do you let loose?
Party.
You party? Yeah, it was like you party, and it would literally be like, you party? And Kevin would be like, yeah, you party? What's
It's some
up?
fucking Bedouin.
Yeah. And he's like, no, 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 none of that, none of that. And yeah, and again, I'm trying not to do an offensive accent, but this is just memory wise, this is how he sounded to me. And yeah, he's like, no, 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 not at all, not at all. And so we started just going down a list and was like, any weed? Yeah, you smoke, yeah, a little weed. And he's like, no, no hashish, no hashish. And because again, I mean, we had no interpreter there. We're literally just speaking English to this dude as if he's like fluent in it. But he knows enough what's going on. I think, I think he knows what we're asking him.
Yeah.
Um, because we had been using an interpreter a lot during this, and I think they were picking up stuff, we were picking up stuff. Because there would be times, man, me and Kev would be sitting there, and there'd be other Marines in the squad, and there'd be the ISF, and we all be sitting around in a circle just goofing off and having the interpreter like kind of talk us through stuff. But then it would always branch off into these things where um, we would just try to teach each other's language. And yeah, there'd be some like, this is titty. What does titty mean? And like, teach me how to say titty in Arabic. But because we're Marines and we're young, crazy, horny fuckers. So like, um, anyways, yeah, we're going back and forth, and so he says, we get to uh, beer, yeah, brewskis, drink the beer. He's like, no, 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 no beer. And then he interjects, no whiskey, because what Kevin said is right. Like a lot of times, at least in that part of the country too, whiskey is like all encompassing. It's alcohol. And he's like, no, no, no beer, no whiskey. And we're like, oh, no whiskey either. And so we go down the list, no weed, no beer, no whiskey. And Kevin in like the moment of brilliance, and this is where he's probably responsible for 60% of the whole thing because he brought it home. He's eating those Laura Danes. I can't get that name right. Like what are they called?
Or something,
Laura
dude.
Derns
It's some, I
from
remember it.
Jurassic Park. What, dude? Have you been hearing that? Like, I struggle with what are they? The Laura Derns,
The Lorna Doone.
Lorna Doone.
It
See, I was
was
close.
Lorna, then Doone.
Yeah, that was closer than Loretta Devine, which is what I had said before.
That sounds like that was a stripper at Driftwood.
Right. But I yeah. So he's eating, he's shoving these cookies in his mouth, and it's like we were in a National Lampoon's movie or something, or like that moment in Hangover where like the chicken walks across the fucking thing when everything's happening, and this goat just perfect timing, just like right by it or did whatever the little
It was can I
thing.
do it was a
Yeah.
the goat death scream. Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
loud.
And then so Kevin just says nothing but cookies and goats. I think that was the original phrase. And then it became just cookies and goats or goats and cookies. Uh yeah, and dude, we just started laughing like crazy and it just stuck and it just became we were so like delirious at this point, I think, and
Yeah.
just worn the hell out that I'm sure some people are looking at this and being like, what a bunch of dummies. Like, how is that? That's not funny. Yeah,
You
it
know,
was. It
it's
was
just
to
like
us.
the blood through the window videos are a perfect example of this too. Just like I said a minute ago, this is what we needed. This is what we needed at the time. Whether it was to keep us emotionally or just mentally just solid. we needed some sort of outlet, and this was it, you know, and it really was fortuitous for us because we both had the same exact outlet, man. It worked so well because we did just feed off of each other as far as this goes.
Yeah, and
Those
that's
four
like
325 guys, yeah.
that happened almost immediately too. I think when we met each other, I don't again like you, I don't like really know. It wasn't like a specific moment that I really remember. I do remember like so I had just gotten in with 3-2 Kilo, and I was like finally going out with them, and we had just had Operation the, the ISF one was Operation Sword. The one before that
Iron
was
Fist,
Operation Spear,
Spear.
a smaller operation in Karabla. And that was like my first full on um hard
Oh
on.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. My first full on time embedded with them, but also with a combat cameraman, who is just happens to be the guy that Kevin went to go see retire. And I had spent 2 months, like about 2 months with him from the end of Matador all the way up to right before me and Kev got pulled for Operation Sword and or Safe, SAIF. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but that's what I had thought about that. I was like, man, the Marine Corps is not really creative in naming these operations.
It was some nerdy ass officer. Yeah, every
Yeah,
single time because it would be like it would be some Lord of the Rings chain for a little bit, and then it would be some fucking Dickens, like a bunch of characters from Dickens stories for a little while, and then it would be
yeah,
whatever. You know, having been there for to see the turnover for different units on a 14-month tour, I actually got to see the changes between all of the units that would overlap. And seeing, you know, all of the call signs change, there was always a theme, and it was some, as I said, some nerdy ass officer who was just like, I'll do it, and came up with everybody's shit, you know. And I worked for like Grendel and Beowulf and a bunch of others for a while. I worked for, as I said, a bunch of Lord of the Rings for a while. I mean, it was a bunch of different ones. It was weird, however they named all of them.
right. For our deployment, it was just like a lot of weaponry, and then like parts of weapons, tip of the spear, what you do, like quick strike, things like that.
Uh,
And I'm like, dude, just fucking call it like Operation Bang Bang Machine Gun, dude. Let's fucking go. Like, go all the way with it. Um,
Operation, there aren't really WMDs, but we're here anyway.
oper
That was the name of the game.
yeah, Operation Wagner.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Oh God.
I'll let you. Yeah, did you want to interject?
Oh
But
God, no. The only thing I was gonna say is that if we can take like a 10-minute break so I can let my dog out. He's about to piss
I
yeah, man,
himself
got,
that's a
over
good.
here.
That's a
dude,
good
I gotta
idea.
let my dog out too.
So yeah, 10:15, we'll take a quick break and then we'll pick up and Lucian, Kevin, you guys take it away.
All right, I'll be
Yeah,
right back.
awesome.
First of all, a
Okay, okay,
toast.
okay.
We're all here. Toast to both of you guys
Cheers.
for being here. I appreciate both of you to open up like this. Now let's get into Kevin's good shit, as he says.
Okay. I'm gonna do my best to not say this son of a bitch's name, but if it slips out of my mouth,
Dude, I'm gonna make a time note right now. I know to
I'm
blank this out.
I'm really sorry. I'm gonna do my best though. So I had this staff NCO. He was the photo chief at Camp Lejeune Division, Second Marine Division, combat camera. And anybody who knows me knows who the fuck I'm talking about. So it's already like a kind of a giveaway, but I think anyone that knows me, aside from the person I'm talking about, would say like Kevin knows exactly what he's talking about, and he's absolutely right. So this is one of the most Marine Corps stories you're ever gonna hear. And it goes from like, I mean, it spans over about a year and a half, a year at Camp Lejeune into Iraq. So I had a staff NCO. And this guy, when I got NJP'd my first time, it was for a speeding ticket that I got out in outside of Camp Lejeune. I was going really fast, admittedly. It was pretty stupid, but I went back. I told my staff sergeant, like, hey, I got a speeding ticket. I have to go to court on this date. And he was like, okay, cool. And that date came around. I went to court. It was a big fucking deal. I was going like 120 in a 55, like on the 24 right outside of. I mean, I was stupid. Like whatever, you know. I was a dumb kid chasing adrenaline. So I come back from court and I tell my staff NCO, hey, um, this is what happened. I did this, that, and the other, and this is the result. Well, apparently, he never ran it up the chain of command before. So he went to the combat camera chief over all of combat camera. He was my staff NCO. Who I'm talking about was the photo chief. Combat camera was repro, photo, and video. So it was like the graphics guys, photo and still photo, and the videographers. And we all worked together, but we were all kind of separate. Anyway, the combat camera chief was a gunnery sergeant, and he was over all of it. Well, my staff NCO went to my combat camera chief and was like, hey, this is the result of McCall's court date. And the gunny was like, the fuck? Why is this the first time hearing about this? This was a big deal. And my staff sergeant and all of his shitbagness, I'm sorry, my staff NCO and all of his shitbagness said, well, I just heard about it and threw me under the bus straight up. That's the only reason I got NJP'd. They told me many times because I was trying to hide it from them is why I got NJP'd and non-rec for 18 months. I was put on extra duties and barracks restriction for 2 months leading up to the Iraq deployment. So I deployed for 14 months. And the block leave that we were allowed to take to go see our families before our 14 fucking month tour, I was on barracks restriction. Go fucking figure. For a speeding ticket. I had to pay the fees out in town. I had to go to court. I had to do all of that. But I also got charged under the UCMJ. So I lost like half month's pay for like 3 months, which as a fucking, whatever rank I was, it's nothing already. I was non-rect, which means you're not recommended for promotion for 18 months. And I already almost had the cutting score, which was already stupid for my MOS to pick up rank. Anyway, all of this was because of my staff NCO who threw me under the bus. Not to mention, he was already overweight. He was on the BCP. He was all this other shit. So this is the part where I might be kind of doxing the guy. So you might have to edit some or blanks and put some little boops in to censor my words here. But so this guy went out in town and married a single mother who was a stripper. Now, I have nothing against strippers, right? I have nothing against single mothers. I have something against a fucking dumbass marrying a single mother stripper while he's in the Marine Corps. Like,
Can I just interject real quick
yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
laughing in the
please,
background
please.
here. I want to make it clear that I'm not laughing at the fact that he married a stripper. I'm laughing at all the memories of people giving him shit marrying a stripper.
He
Like
bragged about it.
anytime he would say something like and somebody wanted to just get at him, they'd be like, "Oh, did you hear that from your stripper wife? Like, how'd you
Yeah.
pick that up at the Driftwood?"
He would
And for
brag
anybody
about
that
it.
doesn't know that wasn't at Camp Lejeune during the time, the Driftwood is literally the strip club
Dude.
that is right outside of the base. And yes, I've been there.
If you're worried about being perceived as heartless, I think me telling this story kind of just like takes the bait. You know what I mean? Like me telling this story is pretty heartless, but it's the Marine Corps. This is normal for us. So this guy marries a stripper. I can't say her name, but her name was also her stripper name. It was that kind of name. You know what I'm saying? She went by the same name. It was that kind of name. It was if you could think of like Taffy or or something like that. Something like that. Anyway, so he would brag about it all the time, be like, I'll go to pick up my wife. She'll be up on the stage, and I'll walk up and I'll see some guys who are into her. And it's like, going through my head, it's like these guys are looking at your wife's vagina. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you telling me this? I'm like significantly lower ranked than you. Why are you telling me this at all? But then he'd be like, I'll walk up to those guys and I'll be like, $20 says I'll take her home. And then they'll be like, no, bro. And he takes her home and he gets his $20 and everybody claps. That's the kind of shit this guy would tell me. So, like I said,
You
I
weren't alone on that. He's that story he tells everyone because he
told
told me that
everybody.
same thing.
Yeah. So, like,
And that was on my first meeting.
you meet the
That
best
was the
people
first
in the
time I
Marine
met him and
Corps.
he told me that.
You meet the worst people in the Marine Corps. So anyway, we get to Iraq, right? My staff NCO of my regimental combat team. It's him and then four of us. And we've mentioned, Shane and Neil and all the other names, the first names, because I don't want to like dox anyone. But well, we've told you all of the other guys that were with us and Eric, and then there was our staff NCO, and then there was the S3 and further. He failed us at every fucking point. He would tell us lies. We would be like, Staff Sergeant, we need this, Staff NCO, we need this piece of equipment. And he'd be like, okay, dog. That was his thing. He would say dog. He'd be like, okay, dog. And, I would come back a month later after whatever operation. I'd be like, hey, what about that piece of gear, Staff NCO? He'd be like, oh, yeah, they approved it. We can go pick it up whenever. And I would be like harping on him for a couple days, like, let's go pick it up. Let's go pick it up. Let's go pick it up. Well, yeah, we can do it whenever. It's not a big deal, dog. And we would finally go pick it up. And they'd be like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You have no authorization to get this gear. Like, whatever. And obviously, he had just made the shit up. The guy wasn't working. It came back on us because, like, all of the stuff that we were supposed to be submitting was supposed to go to Ramadi. We were submitting it from being forward to him. He was supposed to submit it past that, and he wasn't doing his fucking job. He was just getting fat and nasty and not showering in our shop. That's what it was all the time. It was embarrassing as hell. Anyway, I blame New Hampshire. Anyway, he one day I get back from an operation and I'm chilling and I'm just doing my thing and working, and he comes in and he's really upset. And I'm about to tell you a story that sounds completely unbelievable, but I swear on everything that I am as a human being and as an American that this is true. He told me the most complicated fucking story I've ever heard in my life, which is why I remember every single detail of it. And it was it was so he got a call from our unit. Well, he got someone anonymously contacted our unit and said, your kids aren't going to school. Now, he had two kids of his own from a previous marriage, and then he had, if I remember correctly, one child with his single mom stripper. No, the two kids were hers from a previous marriage, and then he had one kid with her. So they had one child together, and then she had two children otherwise. I thought I'm 90% sure that's correct. And they got a call that none of them had been in school. So he was like, what the fuck? And he did some sleuthing and he got somebody to go over to the house. And it turned out all of the kids were there at the house, locked up, unsupervised. And I'm not talking about teenagers. I'm talking like 3, 5, and 7. Um, they had been there for however long by themselves. Um, they had ringworm and they were unclean. They weren't washed. They were in bad fucking shape. And they had missed 2.5 weeks of school at this point. No idea. They had no idea where novel named mom was. I'll have to tell you guys her name after we're not recording because you're gonna laugh your asses off. And I know this is a really serious part of the story, but you're still gonna laugh your asses off because the way it's spelled and everything, it's like fuck. Um, but so the kids had ringworm. They weren't bathed. They hadn't gone to school. They weren't fed. The oldest kid was doing their best to take care of the others. And then that's fucked up, right? The story hasn't started yet, guys. It hasn't started yet because he got another email. from some gunnery sergeant, a male gunnery sergeant, who was like, "Hey, bro, I got some shit to tell you." And this guy was back at Camp Lejeune, right? So he was like, "Look, me and my wife were hooking up with your wife. But then my wife and I had agreed to not do anything without each other. But then my wife went and hooked up with your wife, so I'm mad about it." And he outed the entire relationship. So basically, he was fucking my staff NCO's wife with his wife, but then his wife slept with my staff NCO's wife, who probably had ringworm by herself. And he got mad about it and was like, "I'm telling." It fucking just ratted it all out. So not only did he find out from our unit that because someone had reported it up our chain of command, and then it came down the chain of command to him, that his kids weren't in school and had ringworm and like all of this other shit. But then he got this email from this gunnery sergeant who was like, "Hey, my wife and I were fucking your wife, but then she fucked her by herself and I'm mad." And then, and then you think I'm done. And then it turned out that she had taken like 3 credit cards out in his name and like maxed everything out, had missed like 2 months of the cell phone bill, like all kinds of crazy shit. And that is probably the most Marine Corps story you'll ever hear in your life. I swear to God, like there's no more Marine Corps story than that. I think we all have a story similar to that. Maybe not as dramatic, but along the same lines. And there are tons of guys out there who will, corroborate everything I'm saying. They'll be like, "Oh, he's not full of shit." Because it sounds like I am. I'm listening to myself and it's like, God damn, what am I saying right now? But it's all true. Every bit of that's true. And it happens every fucking day. It's not America's brightest and most wealthy that are joining the military. It's people looking for opportunity, poor people, uneducated people. Like you have this menagerie of people. I'm a poor person who went in the military and I had all kinds of fucked up views before I did, and it turned into what it was. He was a dumbass with a low self-esteem who went in the military and somehow made it up to where he did. And he was forced out eventually, to my knowledge. Um, but yeah, that's the story. How outrageous is that? Like, how many people can tell a story like that? Like it's
As your garage light goes black.
yeah.
It's
I
like
mean,
he's not lying though. I mean, I think I'm not by any means the best person in the world. I've made tons of mistakes. Um, I've admitted them on this talk right now, and I think it's the first time like publicly. I think I've just come out and said like, yeah, I went UA, you know, um, and I've made terrible mistakes after the Marine Corps, and but the one thing I try to hang on to is that I try to be a good person, and I think what Kevin is getting at here is that there are just some people who, for whatever reason, and I'm not saying this person is not a good person, like at heart. I think he and Kevin is gonna fucking like disagree with me here forever because he was directly involved with him. But I just did see like just a really insecure person who needed friends, and I do remember like. And this actually leads back into our story of like how Kevin and I met, or really like connected here and went on this operation. I don't think the person you're talking about probably ever left the wire, maybe occasionally.
Like once,
Once,
and then he
once
pushed for a Purple Heart. Yeah, it was.
I twisted my ankle, bro. It hurt. How am I gonna make love to my stripper wife? No, I'm just kidding. And so
He's probably still with her. That's the
I
fucked up
get
thing.
near Kevin, I just start fucking saying, God help me if I get fired. It's all right. Um, but no, I just think like, yeah, he just was like just a, you felt sorry for him in a sad way of like, man, I just wish that you were just better and like just just a better Marine and just a better person. And I felt bad for him just because I did see like when they would pull us up to Al Assad, and I fucking hated when they did that because it was interrupting me with 3-2, and I'm like, I'm just now really getting these guys' trust. And then I'm gonna run back to Al Assad, and I would get the comments of like, enjoy fucking Pizza Hut, bro. And because, for anybody that doesn't know, like Al Assad was well-established base.
Chow
Uh,
Assad, yeah.
Chow Assad, Camp Cupcake, whatever they want to call it. Um, and So I would get pulled, and every time just always felt I lost some equity with 3-2 every time they pulled me back. And they would pull me back, though. I mean, what they pulled me back for this time when I finally met Kevin was for a good reason. They needed the correspondent that was attached to 325 was already on another operation, and they needed a combat correspondent to cover, if I'm not mistaken. Um, you know, it's one of those things. This is how I recall it. If somebody has a different story, they're going to come in and say, "Oh, it wasn't quite that way." So if that's happening, then it is what it is. But this is my recollection of it: is that um, they needed a combat correspondent to come, and I was the closest nearby. So they pulled me away from 3-2, and I had just come off of an operation with them, um, which was Operation Spear, leading into Sword. After that fucking Operation Machine Gun. And 'cause I don't know, were we recording during that time we were talking about like
Yeah, we were.
how we're naming these things? Um, but I fucking love it though. There's just something so simplistic about like the naming of some of this stuff that is great, and it's like cool. It seems like mundane and stuff, but I mean, this stuff gets logged in the history books. This stuff gets logged. Operation Matador, 2005.
Wikipedia links,
Operation
bare minimum.
Operation Spear.
I
So
remember everyone back home when we were doing Iron Fist. Pretty sure we were in an Iron Fist together. I think so. Anyway, when we were doing Iron Fist, all my friends back home were talking to me and calling it Iron Hand Job. So we were getting a lot of feedback from the civilian population as far as
right.
these names go. Yeah.
And again, for anyone listening, we're not, obviously, like I'm not like downplaying anything or anything like that. We're just it's the superficial parts of it that I think are should be poked fun at a little bit. It's like, how do we come up with these names? Are these like hurricane names? You use some and then you fucking recycle them?
In
Can
alphabetical
we use this
order,
shit again? Like, how
yeah.
long do we have to wait? It's been forever since we've had Operation fucking stab a motherfucker. I don't know. So, anyways, God, where was I? I'm sorry, I went on a little tangent on that. So yeah, leading back. So, um, I'm with the other combat cameraman at the time, and we both get and I'm thinking like, okay, the operation's over. My homeboy's about to leave, Neil, and I think that's the first time we said his name, but again, I think we're saying first names. I'm sure he won't mind,
He wouldn't.
but because I developed just a close bond with him, uh, different than the one that I was going to develop with Kevin, but the same in general that we just bonded.
He's a
And
good man.
I had known
Yeah.
Neil from the schoolhouse even, so we already had a history. And then it was like, man, dude, we would just sometimes sit there and just like look out at the Iraqi stars above and just
That's
be like,
Neil, yeah.
bro, look at us now, man. We're here. We're in Iraq. We're doing the thing, man. We're
Bro, can I hug you?
Can I hug you real quick? And if you know Neil, hugs the guy. Yeah, he'll accept a hug, but he's not gonna enjoy it. I think Kevin and I probably pushed him a little bit more toward like, it's all right to hug me, man. It's all right, good. But no, so I was actually kind of pissed, but little did I know. that through all of that pissness of being yanked from the unit that I had really come to know and love and be embedded with. And really it was and I'm gonna give him a shout out, man. It's 3rd Platoon, Kilo Company, of 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marines. Those are my dogs, dude. Like they took me in under their wing, showed me things, showed me how to move, showed me how to operate. Um, because I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I hadn't been trained in the infantry, dude. I'm a fucking pogue. Like I'm just out
MCT.
here. I am a pogue out here posing as a fucking grunt, basically. You know, in a sense. But they took me under their wing, man. Made me feel a part of their unit, and these guys have been together for years, some of them, and months. And I think Kevin can attest to it, man. That's a powerful thing when you're accepted. I think everyone in this world wants to be accepted, and when you're going, that's a larger sort of picture of it. But when you're a combat camera or combat correspondent, you just want to fit into the unit. You don't want to be a burden. You don't
Hey,
want to be anything that's going to cause anything that you don't want to get somebody killed. You don't want them to think that you're going to get somebody killed. And I think that's a barrier that a lot of combat correspondents and cameramen have to overcome. Of
yeah.
like, we're here for you, bro. The name tape, my last name's different, but the one on the other side is the fucking same.
I'll add
And
to that, man. And I'll say that,
yeah,
being accepted as a fellow fucking just a warrior, and I'll be the cheesy guy to say it, going out with infantrymen and them looking at me as an outsider, having them actually realize, okay, this guy's a Marine. Yeah, that's a good feeling. Every single time that I finally got in with a unit and they saw me as, okay, this guy is a Marine, it was overwhelming, and that's what I kind of fought for with every single unit that I went with. And you're absolutely right. It was a powerful feeling. Yeah.
and I had the benefit. Comcam doesn't really have this part of the benefit of it is I can tell these guys, look, man, I'm gonna make you famous. Simple as that. We're gonna talk. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna go on these patrols. I'm gonna ask you some questions about your time here, man, and I'm gonna take some pictures and I'm gonna send it back to your hometown. And then when you go back to your hometown, you're a hero, like right there. But not only that, and then I'm not saying that superficially either, because they are like they actually are here, like you know what I mean. And but they get to hang that up on their wall.
Yeah.
And I stayed in contact with one of the 3-2 guys. I think he was with 2nd Platoon, if I'm not mistaken. But he said, man, I still have the newspaper, like your story from my hometown newspaper, like mounted on my wall. Like I framed it and I put it up on my wall. I still have it.
That's
And
cool.
that type of stuff is really cool, man. And another sort of aspect of it too is that um and this goes outside of like telling the Marine Corps story. We're also talking to these people's families. Like they're the ones that are really like paying attention to the news. Hey, what's going on with 3-2? What's happening here? What's going on there? And they get to see if they can see their loved one right there, like, okay, I know he's safe at least at this point. And I had because my email address was, I think, usually at the bottom of every story. I had parents and family members reaching out to me in Iraq and like, keep doing what you're doing. Keep like, and then I remember having one parent was like, you haven't covered, India, whatever yet. Why don't you get out there and cover my son? He's a good guy. I'm like, all right, I'll see if I can get to him. I'll see if
Hell
I
yeah,
can get to
brother.
him, man. I say he's doing good things, dude. He's doing good things. It's all right, man. But
Did we do good things?
well, but then I'll get the thing of like, have you seen my son? Like, is he all right? And
Yeah.
I'm like,
That
they gotta
connection's
stop putting
good.
my email at the bottom of these stories, dude. But no, yeah. Then yeah. I was God. I know I really have gone off on a tangent on this, but going back to the person that we were talking about, like kind of being lonely, right? Like these four guys are going out all the time. And I would see like when he pulled me and Neil back from 3-2 and we got to Al Assad, he was like, "Hey boys, what's going on?" It's like party time for him, and I think he just needed a friend, man. I do. And it's unfortunate that he conducted himself, from what Kevin is saying, like, and I've heard the stories too before too, so I can sort of corroborate it. I just wasn't really a part of their team, so, um, but yeah, but it led to our introduction, which actually happened by him. He was the one that sent us off on this mission. Do you remember that?
Yeah, now that you mention it, I remember after everything that had happened, for some reason he was sending you out and he
Right.
was making the calls for public affairs at that point in
Right.
time because you're a
Exactly.
lieutenant. Okay, yeah, it's all coming together now. I remember that. And he introduced us in the office. I think I
Yes.
had just come back from from Hit or Haditha rather, not Hit. I had just
Yeah,
come
you
back from
you had just
Haditha.
come back from 325, and then
Yeah.
I think we were getting ready to go back out with them.
Yeah, with it just I was with Kilo, I think, and we went with India or something like that.
Yeah.
So something like that. But yeah, yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to be able to like look back, as I was thinking about our operation, we can just call it that. I went back and looked at the stories of it to see what unit we were with, and we were with actually we bounced around a lot. Like we were with
We
Kilo.
did.
I think we were also with Lima,
Hmm.
for a little bit. Unfortunately, Lima is the company that eventually took all those casualties,
Yeah.
not but like a month later. So it's very, very likely that Kevin and I ran into a lot of those guys that, um,
I was with him for a lot of
unfortunately
that.
never got to come home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember the meeting because he was like so jovial and so happy of like, these are my boys and I'm bringing them together. Now I know he's from New Hampshire. I don't know what the fucking New Hampshire sounds like. Probably Peter Griffin. He probably kind of sounded like Peter Griffin. Yeah.
We all, you remember, hey, do you remember him watching that fucking Paris Hilton movie over and over and over?
Yeah.
Were
Oh, she's hot, man. Bro, look
yeah,
at her.
it was the Wax Museum, the Wax something. I can't remember what the fuck the stupid ass movie was, but he was all about Paris Hilton. And this was 2005. So the sex tape had just come out and she looked nothing like his wife. But he was all about her. And he watched that stupid movie probably fucking 6 times a day. I'm not even kidding. Like, how can a person watch the same movie over and over that many times per day for
I,
that many weeks? It was weeks.
I just honestly like I just remember how I felt being stuck at the fob for that first month. And I don't know how he did that for 14 months.
Bro, I would come
You
back.
gotta get out, bro. You gotta
I,
get out.
okay,
Like
so the longest
that
I
shit can
ever
eat
went.
you alive, man. Like,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But
and
not him. The longest I ever went without showering, I remember, was 4.5 weeks on one operation. And I got back to Al Assad, right? And they dropped me off at the gate. And it's a long walk across that gravel field. And then once you get over by the chow hall, it's a longer walk over to where the COC was. It's like through that big dirt field. It was gravel and then dirt. And because you had to cross that little bridge into the dirt area. I don't know
because
if
Ripper was
Camp
separate
Ripper.
from Al Assad. It was like a
Exactly.
base
Well,
within a base.
it was
It was
on Al Assad, but it was
it's a
its own
base within a
little.
base, right?
Exactly. Yeah. There were a bunch of little bases within Al Assad, and Ripper is where I'm talking about. So when you come in through the gate, you're in that big field of, it was just thick gravel. If you tried to walk in it, you just sank in it because they put it too deep. And across there was the big can city where all of the cans were, where we slept. And then the other way was the chow hall. And over by the chow hall, there was this little kind of like bridge inlet that cut through to another area. And I remember when you cut through, there was like the engineers building, the supply building, and then the COC was way over to the left. And that's where we were. We were way over there, and there was like a phone center over there too, or the computer center.
You guys were like buried into the COC, right? You were like in some
Yeah,
back
so the
corner.
COC was like a big long building, and if you're coming from where I'm talking about, you walk over that little bridge, and then it's a big dirt field. There's a building here, which was I'm pretty sure the engineers, and then a building behind it, which was comm, and then another building, which was supply. And then if you look off to the left, way the fuck over there, there was this really long building. It was a really big building. And on the very far right end of it, there was a door that went in, and that's where we were. So we were actually at the very end of the building, and we would go in, and CAG was to the right, and then CAG was also to the left, but it was like a little lounge area that they had a TV playing and everything. And
Really
then
quick, shout out to CAG, man.
CAG was badass.
CAG was awesome, man.
Those
Their
guys are
heart,
great.
their hearts and minds, but you're talking about some bamps, man.
And
Badass
every single one of
motherfuckers.
them, they were all tasked with that job. None of them have
Correct. And
been
a lot of them were
actually a job.
infantry dudes,
Yeah.
like that were
None of
just
them are
like
actual CAG guys. Not that
right,
they're just tasked with it.
artillery.
They did an amazing job. The guys I was with most of the time, the CAG guys I served with were reservists. And they were motor T and they had been tasked with being CAG. So they did all the training and then they were civil affairs. They did hearts and minds. It was great working with those guys. But we had their office right next to ours, which was through the two double doors. Anyway, I think I was going through all of this to talk about I would come back from an operation. I came back, I remember this one time, 4.5 weeks I hadn't showered. I was fucking rough. No cover. I hadn't shaved. I was covered in filth. Just I looked busted, man. You remember what we looked like after that kind of stuff. And I walked across the gravel yard, and I crossed the little bridge and I was walking through the dirt yard. And I looked over to the left and I saw the sergeant major, the RCT sergeant major, walking with the XO with the lieutenant colonel. And they saw me and they didn't know who I was at first. So they started walking toward me. They were like, "Who is this Marine without a cover on?" And once they got close to me, they knew where I was coming from. They knew what I had been through. And they were just kind of like, "Oh, hey, McCall." And they walked with me all the way to the COC. So the XO was like, "Well, I need to talk to your staff sergeant anyway, your staff NCO anyway, and I'll come into the office with you." So again, 4.5 weeks, bro. I'd barely eaten. I hadn't showered. I was just fucking exhausted. I had just seen everything that I had just seen, lost a bunch of friends. Like it was just this really just messed up time. And I remember I had the lieutenant colonel behind me, and I opened the doors. And I hadn't showered in 4.5 weeks, and the smell of this son of a bitch who was laying in a cot asleep in the middle of our office, the smell hit me. And I could smell his nasty fucking feet that were sitting right there at me. 4.5 weeks of not showering, and I could smell that guy over myself. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And the
rough.
XO was right behind me, and he saw it, and he saw my staff NCO just sitting there asleep while I had been doing all of this crap, and he just stopped. He didn't say a word. He turned around and just walked away. How embarrassing was that for me? You know what I'm saying? Like, that is who this guy was. So I know I went on this drunken fucking diatribe about this motherfucker. But you know what, man? Like I said before, he threw me under the bus. He shit on all of us as Marines, like my entire team, on top of anybody who was operating inside of our AO, whether it was public affairs, as Lou says, or combat camera, anyone who was affected by this guy, it was pretty rough. I need to, I think it's really important because when you see a lot of interviews of Marines, they talk about, like, yeah, everything was great and everyone's a hero and everything's perfect. I think especially now, right now, with the way things are, we need to realize who is in uniform. We need to realize that it's not just a bunch of heroes. It's poor people looking for advantage. And I'm not excluded from that. Neither are my Klansmen fucking relatives. I'm not even kidding. Like they're there. Yeah, like who are you kidding? So there's a lot of really good people who want to do a lot of really good things in the military, but there's also a lot of really bad people. And they're the ones who are going to tell you that I was a shitbag because I was a squared away Marine.
In the field. In the field, right?
Well,
I'll say,
go
oh,
ahead,
go ahead.
Lucian. No, no, Lou, it's your time.
Yeah. So yeah, this it's crazy when you're saying that. It like so then it's crazy that he's like the one that brings us together for this thing. And it's
Good
like,
example. Yeah.
and he was so to Kev's point of like unkept, sort of like he would cross the lines of like I'm your boy type stuff. So he was calling me Lou at certain points, like this staff sergeant was. And I'm like, bro, we're not fucking boys, dude. We're not friends. Like, I'm not fucking chilling with, like, I don't know you. But I'm like, all right, a guy thinks that we're cool or whatever.
He
So
was
I
grooming
guess
you.
he's grooming me. Take this drink. No, and but But yeah, and then like yeah, little did I know I was gonna. And again, I was pissed that I was at Al Assad to begin with, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, why am I getting pulled from my unit? Why am I not with my boy Neil? Like, because me and Neil had developed sort of a thing, and I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say there was like initial resentment to Kevin in the sense that like I was like, I don't know you, bro.
You're not
Like,
Neil.
I don't fucking. You're not Neil. And
That's my
I'm
purse. I
definitely
don't
not
know
Neil.
you.
but but within moments, like I knew, and like we had already, I think, kind of felt each other out a little bit, like in passing here and there, but like within the first 5 minutes, it was like love at first sight. And no, but it really was like we just clicked, man. Like, and I can't describe it anything other than like I just knew like, dude, you're like one of my friends from back home, man. Like I can just fucking spit with you and talk about anything. And I think, well, I mean, one of the things we bond about initially, and I'm a movie guy. I think anybody that knows me fucking knows that I'll quote movies and all that good stuff. Comes from a childhood of being reinforced to say the line, repeat the line, look. And we bonded over Team America World Police. And I think that movie just in general and how we took it was different than some of the other Marines and how they were
Yeah.
taking it. Just even directly with us. Like both of us realized like this is kind of what the fuck we're doing. Like, and I'm not saying that other Marines didn't realize that, but we used it as a way of like being sarcastic about everything that was going on.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of seeing like my sort of conscientious objector thing to the whole Iraq part. Because again, I was like, we should be in Afghanistan. What the fuck are we doing here? Osama bin Laden's not here. He's over there. He's the one that made me have that feeling with my brother, or what I thought, was happening with my brother. Um, Not Saddam. Fuck Saddam. If he fuck with your daddy, fuck that. So that was in my mind, and Kev was on the same fucking page with me. And it was so fucking refreshing to just be able to fucking say it. Like, bro, we fucking shouldn't be here. And again, we were both beat up at that point. We were both broken, like, not broken down, but we were just fucking tired. Probably one of already just being there. But both he and I had literally just come off of like a couple weeks long operations, and now we're getting ready to go into another one, which is nothing. I mean, that's nothing new. That's the life, right? That's what we wanted, right? We want to be in combat with these guys.
We
So,
thought we did.
so we thought we did, and I'm like, man, why can't I fucking sleep on the cot like
Bro, I enlisted at
that?
17, man.
That
Don't...
motherfucker, he's up there stinking the whole COC up. Why can't I do that?
So,
Got to go to
how
the
would
rank.
you, to ask an unserious question, if I may, how would you compare the stink of the staff NCO to the porta johns that we talked about off camera?
Oh man. So, there were many times where I would get in my sleeping bag and I would smell myself. But it was a little tiny office. It was probably 10 feet by 10 feet. Well, would you agree, Lou? I think it was about 10 feet by 10 feet. And
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
no ventilation. There was no AC, there was no vents, there was nothing. So it was a room, it was tile walls, and that was it. There was no, and it was two glass swinging doors that had rubber seals. So it was stuffy in there. If you didn't open those doors, then the stink would sit. At least porta-johns have like that vent tube that goes up. This didn't, man. So whatever was in there, what we discovered was, I don't want to harp about this guy too much, but more than we already have. But what I discovered was, and when we would all be gone, all four of us would be gone, and he was remaining in Al Assad, he would not walk across the dirt field, walk across the gravel field to the berthing where the showers were. He would stay way over here and walk to the chow hall and walk back, and walk to the chow hall and walk back, and never go to the chow hall and to the berthing and to the showers. You know what I'm saying? So the guy just did not wash himself. So I am out walking fucking 60 miles a day with like however many pounds of gear on me, just miserable as fuck, getting shot at. And this asshole is just sitting in this little office, like watching Paris Hilton movies over and over, just not cleaning himself and eating, and not cleaning himself and eating. And yeah, again, I feel like we've harped on this too much, but that was a significant portion of just being a Marine, was having to deal with people like that. There's a larger percentage than I would like to admit of Marines that are like that.
I don't even want to think about how many times you have to wash those camis to get the crust and the stink off of them. If it was that profound, like that pungent, whatever that word
For
is.
my stuff,
Whew.
man, I was showing my uniforms in that
Yep.
video, and you can't see where my flak jacket covered. It's not really faded, but if you look below it, it's just white where my blouse would hang out below my flak jacket. And that's not necessarily from the sun. It's from the salt and the sweat and the nastiness just bleaching the material. It would tear the color right out of it. And it's nastiness. It's not anything that's that saltiness that we call in our uniforms, that fadedness. It's not from anything other than just being fucking utterly disgusting and it eating the material away. That's it. That's it.
Starching the fuck out of it too.
Yeah.
Like the more you sweat, dry,
Yeah. Yeah.
sweat, dry. Eventually, you can just stand that motherfucker up.
Exactly. You can get your trousers, you can take them off after a patrol, let them dry. And when the sweat, they're so soaked when they dry, you can actually stand them up. And they'll just like the cloth will be so stiff they stand up. And I mean, the fucked up thing is not that they stand up. The fucked up thing is 12 hours later, 8 hours later, 6 hours later, you have to put them back on and go on another 8 hour, 12-hour patrol. And then when you get back, you have to do it again. You have to take those nasty ass fucking trousers off. They get rock hard, and then you're putting these crisp pants back on yourself to do it all over again. You know what I'm talking about. You remember doing that shit, man. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
So I do want to get to what we were talking about though of all right, so we get together and I'll say this, I know it was mentioned in another video, but one of the first things you said to me is you're like, look, man, I hear you're a cool guy. I hear you're a cool guy, but don't steal my shit. I was like, I was like, I corporal, I don't fucking know how to respond to that. What do you
But
mean?
still my photos.
Shit. Because again, I mean, like I just been on this operation with one of his fucking cohort, like one of his peeps. And I like wouldn't think to, do that if he, I had a video because like a lot of times I would get handed the video camera and like I'm like, all right, bro, you're gonna have to take the photos for this story then. If y'all are gonna give me this video camera. And I'll just say really quick, one time was nuts with me and Neil during Operation Spear. We had taken fire and we were coming up onto the roof, and we had the ISF with us now in a smaller capacity, not to the capacity that we'll get into when we talk about Operation Sword, which Kevin and I were on. Um, but I was running up with them with the video camera, and like, so this is all recording, it's all going on. It's probably looks like the Blair Witch Project, like everything's moving like super fast. We're running up, and I slam against the wall. Now, first off, when I opened the fucking hatch to get onto the roof, because the Marines were already there and they were already taking fire. I was with them with the ISF downstairs. And when we heard it, I was like, all right, guys, let's go. And I was like, why the fuck did I get left in charge of these guys? So we go running up. I open the
No one
fucking
else
door.
wanted to.
Yeah, right. I was like, I'm not qualified to do this. And I open the fucking door or the hatch, and a fucking round goes right over my head, and I fucking see the bullet hole go through the goddamn door. And I was like, get the fuck down. So they all, because they're all behind me. I'm like right in the front. I'm leading the way. And and so we like hunch down and crawl to the wall and everything, and all this is happening. Neil is already on the roof with them, engaging and everything like that. I mean, and so I was like, ooh, moment. And like Kevin was talking about, like, set the camera down sort of shit, but so much was happening that I kept going with the camera, and I didn't realize that the saw gunner was right next to me. And like when I say right next to me, I mean like shoulder to shoulder with me.
Right there in the
And I
ear
didn't
hole.
realize that when I had hit the wall that I had kind of bumped into him a little bit. And so I'm getting up, and then I turn the camera toward him, and I'm, oh God, I'm close as hell. And he opens fire, like, but I also wasn't ready for it. I was like, oh shit. And it was like, just goes off. Neil got an awesome photo for it. And this is what Kevin was talking about. When you put two of us together, awesome things can happen because you have the coverage of having that. If it was just me out there, it would just be a shaky ass camera thing of going, oh, and I'm somewhere in the archives. I know they're gonna release some, and if this video is out there, and you're gonna hear me go, ah, and I make that sound and do that, and then you see him taking fire, and then all of a sudden, I lost, like I ran out of fucking tape. Like everything fucking stopped. The battery died.
That's rule number
Now,
one.
so then I was like, well, I don't have a actual camera with me. I'm only carrying the video camera. And so yeah, I just pop up and shoot a couple rounds, and then I was like, God damn, what the fuck? And then everything kind of died down and stopped. And I sent that tape back on a convoy to Al Assad, and the staff sergeant that we've been talking about, he had gotten it, and what he had told me is they were like huddled around watching, because they knew that this had just happened. They were huddled around watching the video, and they said like, "Damn, man, shit gets going, and then we thought you died." Like, so for a little bit, I guess they thought that the camera dying was me dying, is what he says.
Wow.
But yeah. So coming off of that, and now I'm meeting Kev, and um, and so I, yeah, don't steal my shit, man. And I was like, bro, just don't give me the fucking video camera anymore, man. I'm fucking tired of that shit.
It's
But I
way
think I
easier to
did. I think we
caption.
did. We swapped back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get kind of more experience on it, because that Operation Spirit was the first time I had done the video portion of it. And again, I'm doing sort of a comm-cam job there. We're not going to use that video for anything public affairs wise. But Neil's got my back, taking pictures so that I can have him for the story. But I was out there with him. Uh, so, which I think was Kevin's gripe in the beginning too, of like, you're not even out on these things with us. And I'm like, yeah, well, I am. I got you. But um, we get to the unit, and Kevin had already been with 325, so you already kind of knew people. And I just remember watching him in action just kind of like navigate to get us exactly where we needed to go. I had never, you know, Neil didn't have that type of experience to be able to do that. We were just kind of already put with the Lee platoon for that, but just to see that navigation that Kevin was able to do was cool. And like I looked up to him. I knew that like from the get-go, I'd already kind of knew he was in Haiti. Think you had already been was this your second deployment to Iraq, right?
Yeah.
Or first? Second?
This what '05 was my first to Iraq, but
First to
it
Iraq.
was my second, third deployment. Yeah.
Right. So I had already known that, you had been with the infantry before and that
Yeah.
like you knew how to, but seeing it in action, I was like, damn, dude, I'm just gonna follow this guy. And so that's probably where it was like when I think you said something like every patrol he was on with me. I was like, I'm just gonna follow this dude, and just go wherever he goes, whether he likes it or not. But I think like where you had said before that you tried to separate from um previous like combat correspondents that you've worked with in the past, like I don't think that was ever going to be an option. Not because I was following you around, but just because we had hit it off so much, like and just established that connection early on the way
Yeah.
to uh to to heat or to hit. Is it heat or hit? I've
Somewhere
heard
in
it pronounced
between. I
both
think it's
ways.
somewhere in between. Yeah, yeah.
But so this
He,
this operation that we were on is going to be the first like big um Iraqi security forces thing where they're kind of leading the charge, which
yeah.
is why I was pulled, which is why Kev was pulled, and here we are. And so we get in with this the first platoon that we were with, and we go on a few, I think 3 days maybe had passed, and we get up in this it's a pretty decent sized house, bombed out and depleted. But all the Marines are kind of huddled up in like a certain two rooms, and I was like, dude, I don't think there's any room for us there. And there's another room off to the side. I'm like, how come nobody's going to this room? And so he and I go there. I mean, there's no flooring whatsoever. There's rubble everywhere. So I want to mind you, this all happens. What I'm about to say all happens within the span of like a few hours. So we're coming off of a patrol already, and the lieutenant was like, "Yo, y'all just fucking chill for a little bit, hang out, unwind." When we get to this room, it was like, I think both if we put both poncho liners down on top of each other, like we'll get more padding and it'll be cool. So we had set up in this room. We set up in there. We lay poncho liner on top of poncho liner. It's
It's
a
only
big ass.
this fucking wide.
It's a big ass room. He could have gone on one end and I could have gone on the other, but here we are, and we chose to cuddle up.
We shared a
So,
3 foot wide poncho
so
liner.
we bottle up. And now I had and Neil will probably attest, like, or not attest to this, but protest to this recollection. But I had developed a thing with Neil where I was like, bro, we're carrying all this weight. Just give me a shoulder rub.
Yeah,
Like,
we all did that. We all did that together. Yeah.
take the kinks out. And so we would do that, nonchalantly and everything like that. I don't ever thought anything of it, but this is Kevin and I's like first introduction to this unit,
Ooh.
and or to this particular platoon. I think, like again, I think we had been out for 3 days, but I think this was like we had just moved over to this new
They
new
knew me. They didn't
platoon.
know you.
They knew you, so maybe they thought nothing of it.
No,
Uh,
they thought a lot of it. They were like, what the
but
fuck is he doing?
but I was like, yeah, work the kinks out. And then you're like, yeah, do me, man, do me. And so we switch and like I'm rubbing his shoulders. And then the platoon commander walks in and just goes, uh, all right, well, we got chow coming up and then we're probably going to head out a little bit in the morning. And
We're in a
so,
massive room, mind you, on this tiny little blanket together,
yeah,
rubbing each other's shoulders.
right. And then later on that evening, so we have chow, we're kicking it and then we come back and have chow. And then we head back. Like it's like, all right, lights out. We're gonna get up early and we're gonna go back out. And here, Kevin and I are on, sharing a sleeping Is maybe the size like a queen size mattress. Maybe I don't know. What did you say? Maybe
It's more. It's almost a twin, man. It's pretty small.
kind of twinish. Yeah, we were almost spooning,
Mm.
but but anyways, we're in there like just quoting Team America World Police back and forth and giggling our little asses off on it, going in like what would you do? And I think you started. It was like we were both like ready to go to sleep and go off to sleep, and then we're just laying there, and Kev just goes, "What would you do? You were asked to fight for freedom." And like, just mind you, I'm ready to go to bed, and then I just hear him start singing, and we're just giggling at the fuck up. And the same platoon commander comes back in and just sees us pillow talking like over there. I'm like,
These pogues are
this is
something
all
else,
right.
man.
It's all right. Whatever. Fuck them. Like, and then I think from there that kind of kicked off the whole like let's fuck with them like sort of thing as entertainment, and not in like we were still obviously conducting the operation and going and taking things seriously sort of.
I
And
don't think a lot happened that operation. I mean,
it
on
didn't. No,
our end, I think we took pop shots, but I don't think much more than that happened on that
yeah.
push.
Yeah, it was a pretty quiet thing, and I think that's where the photos start coming,
Yeah, we
right?
were bored.
When we
Yeah.
started taking pictures of each other, because I think at this point it's July, um, it's early July. We're I'm in my mind going home in September, and I'm like, damn man, I don't really have any photos of myself.
I was going home in February.
Yeah, right.
You September, February.
Yeah, hold it over my head, dude. But no, I think Kev said the same thing. He's like, man, I don't really have any like pictures of myself either. We spent the next 3 days just taking pictures of each other. We were still taking pictures. We were still doing our jobs. We were
Yeah.
still taking pictures of the Marines. But after a while, like when nothing's happening, there's only so many patrol photos you can take. There's only so many like the kick in door stuff. I mean, if it was happening, we were taking pictures of it. But if it was just, a day that we're just going to go on patrol and walk down the streets and up the street and then back down the street and then up the street, yeah, we just started taking pictures of each other. And
We'd
then
probably
that,
search 20 houses and maybe find stuff in one. And
right.
we'd take
So,
photos of that, but those other 19 houses, we just took the photos that he sent you. Yeah.
well, and that's where I'm gonna chime in here. And bring up these photos that Lucian was kind enough to email to me. And before I say anything, as the story is progressing of the poncho liners and the little cuddle, and I really wish I had a soundbite of the hub intro song or like some of the Brokeback Mountain soundtrack just to press play at random interventions. 'Cause
I,
that
I I just can't. What was it? I can't quit you, Lou. I just can't quit you.
or like the Lion King, Phil Collins, it's in the air tonight, man. Like this is some poetic stuff. But
There were some leaves swirling up, and they definitely spelled out sex.
A solid Lion King reference.
Who's that guy?
son, so one of these photographs that we talked about, Kevin, and then Lou so graciously sent it over. This is taking this time frame, and to pull up for people who are gonna watch this, some of these shenanigans, but also literally the history being made 20 years ago. It's September 2025. This is September 2005.
So right here, first thing I want to point out, look at my sleeve right there. If you look at my sleeve, you'll see there's a really light part right where your cursor is right now. That's the dry part.
Bro, look at your hands, man. You ever heard of a baby wipe? God damn.
Was this like 3 weeks without a shower at this point? You know what I'm saying? But look at this is what we were talking about a minute ago. All of that dark you see on my uniform, that's wet. It's sweat. All of my uniform is dark only because of sweat. So when I would take that off and I would put it aside, it would dry out, and then the salt in it would harden and bleach the material, and that's what creates salty camis. I gotta point out though, if you look right there on my flak jacket, you'll see a piece of metal right below my goggles. Yeah, that right there, that's a shank I found in a blown out house. One, you know that we were looking at that photo of the army where they had found that cache. I found that shank. It was a metal knife. I found it in that house and I put it in my flak and I carried it from there. So it's really funny to see it there because I had forgotten about it. But yeah, this is really representative of our time. You see me with my chin strap unbuttoned. I'm just covered in sweat, laughing like a fool at some dumbass picture of
Got all
some
this
kid.
dust and dirt that is just truly like it really does depict um how much dust, sand, dirt there
I'm
is. It
filthy.
is everywhere. I
You
mean,
look at my face, I'm shiny as hell, and that's all sweat, every bit of that. I didn't grow facial hair too much at the time because I was so young. But I mean, I was dirty as could be. I didn't wear glasses yet. That came with age. But yeah, at this time I was fucking filthy.
well, and the first time I popped this up, you two were giggling at this individual right
Little
here.
kid dressed like the Ayatollah, yeah.
To the nines. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
he's got everything. And we look at this, even
Hit
got that
Iraq.
camera pose. He's not even looking at the camera. He's looking off in the distance.
People in hit Iraq are not wealthy. So to see something like this, and as often as we saw it, it seemed really weird to me, at least. I can say that I did not expect to see shit like this all over the place as often as we saw it. So I think that's why we took these photos, is how novel it was. We were in the middle of nowhere, from 1,000 miles in every direction from where we were, there was just nothing. So it was weird. It was fucking weird. That's weird. Tell me that's not weird.
Yeah, each one of these, I mean, like every house we went in, and then it became sort of like a see what we can find here, and we get bummed out if we didn't find anything or if it was just normal ass house. But I mean, they're all normal houses. But yeah, you would just have this like random, and again, like Kevin said, like not a wealthy area,
But you
and
mentioned random, Lou, but random right here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that like was just the most random. Like
So all these photos of him I would have taken, and all the photos of me he would have taken.
you steal my stuff, man. Revering it. Proof.
Don't steal my shit.
Don't steal my shit. I do just remember joking, and this is again these like if anyone gets offended on this joke, it's just what we are saying. Like at the time, I was like, how crazy is it if they did this to make sure that they knew that like that we knew that they were on our side, like that, like let's get the most white bread, blonde hair kid with a duck and frame them as if they're like a member of the family
We like white
to let them
kids
know, like,
and
hey, we've
white
got one of yours
ducks.
here, like, or I don't know, like, we're here, like,
If
go
I
America.
remember, you know what, man? Hey, I'm kind of having like a kind of a flashback right now. If I remember correctly, the house that we took this photo in also had a big like felt painted poster of or a huge picture of the Last Supper. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Well, we came across the Christian household. They were Christian Iraqis in the middle of heat. And I think it was that house that had the duck photo or the duck, yeah, that duck photo in it. What, do you remember that as well? Or
it sounds familiar. Yeah,
I think it was the same house. So I think they were actually Iraqi Christians at that house. There were a lot of them in Hit, believe it or not. I remember seeing a lot of crucifixes there. I remember seeing a couple of the Last Supper paintings, and they were there. They had a presence. I mean, that's where the religion's from, is that general area of the world, so it makes sense that they would still be there.
it just seems so out of place from
Yeah,
everything else that we had ever seen, and
yeah.
yeah,
Especially
so
with the Mujahideen having a presence there, you wouldn't see that, Like, why would the Mujahideen wouldn't let them hang that fucking picture of a white girl with a duck?
And it
Well,
was the only photo on that wall. I don't know if you can tell that.
I think it was the
And it
only one in the
was
house aside from the Last Supper.
right, and it was
Yeah.
like oddly placed. I don't know if they just weren't OCD, but it was like off to the side,
Mm.
not like in the middle of the wall or anything like that. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. Might want to search this house a little bit more.
well, it sounds like honestly a comedy skit of like, let's make it as obvious as we can that we're definitely not the mood. Here's a Last Supper painting to show that we're 100% Christian. Here's
Here's
a
Ronald
white girl
Reagan.
and a duck way over here. That way they know. And we have bread in case they know we feed the ducks. Well, rolling off of the photos and oddities, you got to bring up this wonderful piece of art there. Like this,
Yeah.
once again, this should be in some kind of art museum, the Louvre, maybe. I think this is a quality example of that. So, what's going on here, Kevin
I
and Lou?
I remember taking this photo. I was looking this way. And Lou was like, "Hey, take this picture." And I looked and he was posed like this. So I was like, "All right, click." And that's exactly what I remember from this photo. I may be incorrect, but that's what I see.
I'm trying not to laugh.
You're doing a really good job, Lou,
You can see my
holding it
lips
in.
just together, but I also wanted to just mimic them, and just make sure they know, like, we're together in this.
Look at your face. You're trying not to
Staring
laugh so
off.
hard.
Like
Yeah.
we can
Yeah, you
see,
can see the
oh,
clenching of my teeth
oh,
probably in
it's
that. I'm
there.
like, oh my God.
But like if we really look, we can see all this dust,
Yeah.
sand that is caked. You've got it present there definitely on the goggles. I mean, it brings up a point though of like, thankfully, with your generation of combat cameramen and combat correspondents with more of the high detailed cameras, we can see much more of the reality of the patrols and the
Yeah.
operations you guys are going on. And honestly, how long you guys have been out there just based on what we're able to see by the small little details. That's a little history nerd in me
Man,
coming out. Apologies.
we were disgusting. We fucking reeked. I mean, uh, if you think about going 2 days without a shower, let alone 3, 4 weeks without a shower, I mean, it's we were ripe, man, and everything that we had, including the helmet strap you see on his face, was soaked in sweat. That helmet strap isn't that color. It's that white because of the salt that's leaching through it. It's we were gross.
Kevin, you might have been gross, but this is royalty. Does royalty look gross to you in this photograph?
Yeah,
He
this
had
is
baby wipes. See, you heard him a second ago, man.
I
Public
was using the
affairs,
baby wife, man. Like,
they didn't have they didn't have to carry all the shit we did, so they had baby wipes.
exactly, dude. Keep these poke hands clean.
And then for some reason, the last photograph that I was going to show up, let me rephrase that, or the photograph that Lou texted to me, it wouldn't somehow pop up on here. However, we do have this last one here of Kevin. I assume you guys are seeing this riding around on a motorcycle or sitting on a motorcycle, I should
I
say.
was just sitting on it, yeah.
Yep, sitting on it and posted up grin. And we see some stars on the walls here and whatnot. So you know, just I don't know. It's just unique to see the what you're carrying equipment wise. You've got the Canon camera over here. We've
I still
got
have that C4 bag. That's a C4 bag, that green bag your cursor's over. It's sitting right over there, actually. I still have it. I have a bunch of those. The engineers would carry them and sticks of C4 would come in those bags.
got the
And when
K
they would
bar hanging
empty,
here.
yeah, yeah. When they'd empty, they'd throw them out and I use them. But yeah, I mean,
That's wild.
so we were searching this house. The stars you see on the wall there were little kids that lived here, and they were all standing just to the left of this frame. So the whole family was right there while we were searching this house. And I remember asking them. I asked them if I could take this photo, if I could pose on their motorcycle. I didn't ask them, obviously, because they didn't speak English, but I pointed at it and pointed at a camera, and they said, yeah. And I hopped on real quick and we took this photo. I'm a motorcyclist, so I saw this and I was like, that's a badass little two cycle. And I really wanted a photo on it. And they're everywhere. I've seen people weld mortar tubes to the back of these things in Iraq, and they would pop mortars off of these motorcycles at us. But they're really cool little resilient things. These are hardcore little bikes. As a mechanic, I really respect what they went through, just being in the desert, let alone, out in the middle of nowhere and not having the proper maintenance that they should.
That's insane in many ways. For the mortars being welded in that, and I guess that just makes a mobile, mortar site, whether how accurate you're going to be or not. Throw a couple rounds in the tube and then speed off to wherever the hell you want to go.
Yeah.
Jeez. So Lou, to bring that back in here of well, this is we're approaching hour 4 of hanging out together. That's first of all impressive. Secondly, to tie this all in for a good first interview of the two of you together, I will. Kevin got asked this on the very first interview. You, Lou, you're about to get asked this question, and then I'll let you guys decide if we want to continue on or off camera for shenanigans. That's neither here nor there. However, Lou, in your time in the Marine Corps, what was your most favorite and most hated MRE?
All right. So I already know what Kevin's answer was, and it's Chili Mac, and I didn't probably have to watch that to know that. That is everyone's. I mean, that's the go-to,
Got
right?
M&M's.
It's a solid one. I for some reason though, like, and this is people are gonna be like, this dude's really fucking weird. I liked the grilled chicken. And the reason I liked the grilled chicken is because every now and then it had Skittles in it, and it was almost guaranteed a lot of times to have Skittles in it. And I know I said every now and then, but like I just always kind of lucked out and got Skittles in it. And so I'm a Skittles person and good for energy. So it was
You should have told me. I would have given you all of my Skittles for all
no,
of your
people were
M&Ms. I
giving
wanted
me
the
their
M&Ms.
they're trading me that because everyone hated it because the shit was dry as hell. Um,
Man, I don't like
but
Skittles, so I would have given you
uh,
all mine.
so yeah, I mean that and yeah, obviously Chili Mac. Worst one. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure on that one.
All right, so I'm going to ask you another question that's equally as diabolical because I've heard Kevin tell me his diabolical one. What's the worst MRE shit you ever had to take that you recall?
Well, this leads into yeah, a certain something like before I attached the 3-2, and I'm gonna make this story as quick as possible because that's kind of how the shit happened. Um,
Yeah.
like in for real. And we had been out in the field, and this is before Iraq, so this was like training we had to do with headquarters company, headquarters battalion. So in my mind, I'm like, this is not like it's not the training I need because I'm gonna be with the infantry. Like, oh, you pogues, you go get your fob training. No, I'm just kidding. Like, but that I was kind of like, kind of gaffing it off, but still taking in as much as I could. But we got released early. It was supposed to be we were supposed to be out there for a week. I think it ended up being like 5 days, and then me and then two other combat correspondents. And I actually do think one combat camera person all went to the Jacksonville Mall. Like, what else do you do when you get released early but go to the Jacksonville Mall? But before that, we wanted to get a good meal. And so I think it was an IHOP that was there at the time. I don't know if it's still there, but that's what we went to. Don't want to, it's nothing against IHOP's food, but when you've eaten nothing but MREs, like that first bit of human food is gonna run through you pretty damn quick. And so it did, and I just happened to be in the mall at the time. And Jacksonville, the mall is a small mall, right? Like there's not a lot there, and that was back even during the days of malls. And their stalls, their bathroom stalls, even though there's 47,000 Marines at Camp Lejeune that do come out and go to the mall. Two shitters, two bathroom shitter stalls in the men's room. And I got in there in time and blew that fucker up. Like that thing was disgusting. It was every clump of everything that could have been fucking possibly done because I had not shitten. I didn't shit for 5 days the whole time. That hadn't happened to me before. Now some people are like, "You fucking weak, like I didn't shit for like 3 weeks." Okay, fucker, you got me then. But
They're
for me,
lying. They're lying.
they're
No.
fucking lying, you fucking dumbass. But yeah, it was like 5 days, and so this was my first shit in almost a week, and yeah, it was disgusting. So I think everything's cool. Wipe it up, go try to meet back up with everybody, and I get like a little bit. It might have been like maybe 5 minutes later, and I couldn't find them. I didn't know what store they were in, and then I feel the bubble. So I go back, and now there's a line, and now both stalls are fucking taken up, and I'm standing there waiting for it. And at a certain point, it just got so painful that I was like, and so this is the second wave, right? The second wave shit. This is when it's gonna be all soupy, nothing but soup, and you know, maybe some croutons in there. Who knows? But yeah, I had a split moment in my mind where I was like, dude, you're in such pain, just let it go. Just let it go. And in that split second, I did just loosen the cheeks just a little bit, and that everything just cascaded down like Willy Wonka's fucking chocolate factory. That fucking waterfall, it was that, and a puddle started building up by my foot, and then there was a guy behind me, and I'm like, oh, how am I going to get out of this situation without feeling completely embarrassed? There's no way. So, but I saw, like, I made eye contact with the guy behind me. He makes eye contact with me, and I watch his eyes go to my foot, and he can see the puddle forming around it. And then, this was like split seconds. Then the door opens, and now it's my turn. And now I have to play off the fact that I'm stepping in my own shit, in my own puddle. And so the only thing I could think to say was, oh, somebody shit on the floor and I stepped in it. And yeah, that turned into just a nightmare of I went through, I think they had a full like 3 rolls. I went through all of it, trying to clean everything up. Eventually I was just like, the underwear, that's got to go. You just got to get rid of them. And so, I dunked it in the toilet, tried to clean as much off, threw that motherfucker in the trash, free balled it. I was not driven there at the time. I was actually staying just temporarily off base before going to Iraq. So um I wasn't staying back at the barracks with the other guys, and so I was like, I just need to get a fucking cab and get out of here because I can't explain this now, and I can't walk around because you can still smell it. It just smelled like, I mean,
Death.
it was bad, but at the same time, I was like, I had been cleaned out, and so I was like, it kind of smells straight up like cheeseburger.
Ooh, that's what I have for dinner.
So I get in the
Bro,
cab
that's
and
hideous. That is bad.
I get in the cab and I have just enough money to make it back to this place, to the place that I'm staying at, with like a 15-cent tip. And I felt so bad because like when we're driving, it was winter time, right? So this is like December, and then I go to CAX in January, or Mojave Viper now, whatever. But so all the guy had the windows up with the heat on, but when I got in there, it did not take long for all of a sudden the fucking slow wind down of the windows just drifted, and I was like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry." Just a big shitty mess, and yeah. So worst shit, there it is, man. I know you probably didn't want that long of a story, but
Dude, that was amazing.
yeah. What's my worst fucking MRE? Whatever the fuck that last one was.
Got to be the
Oh,
enchiladas, right?
I think it probably was or something like this.
Yeah, it sounds
I
like it
wasn't a
was.
big fan of they had the spaghetti, right? If I'm am I recalling right?
I think there
Did
was
they
a
have the
spaghetti, right?
spaghetti?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't the biggest fan of that shit either because it just, I don't know, tasted like paste.
Well, the chili mac was only popular because it had the jalapeno cheese, the jalapeno cheese in it, and
Right. You could get
you
some
could
good
put the
trades
cheese
off of
in
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
you put the cheese in the mac, and it was amazing because it disguised that metallic flavor that all MREs have. Yeah,
Oh my God. First of all, this has been a damn trip. Um, for what we have recorded. That's all I'm gonna say. If you missed the off recording, too damn bad. You just weren't a part of that cool conversation, and I was the lucky man. Um, and then we got more off recording things to talk about, which y'all aren't privileged to. Sucks to be y'all. However, gentlemen, Kevin knows this. Lucian, this is my tradition. No matter who I talk to, if we ever do an interview and I see you guys in person, um, I don't know, maybe it's just the annoying civilian in me, or it's just the general respect to have for you guys. I cannot say thank you for your service enough, but most importantly, welcome home. You know, thanks for being willing to do this. And I know for a fact there are other stories we have not touched that we have to touch because we could go all night and then I have to break this up into like six different interviews. But I also
yeah,
want to talk about some off-camera stuff because I know that's where some really funny things are going to be, and that's what I'm kind of holding on to.
yeah.
So, gentlemen, off camera, off recording, we'll set up another one of these because I can tell you two clearly picked back off of wherever y'all left off of, and that to me was the most wholesome moment. I've been fortunate in the 4 years I've been doing this to meet guys face to face and on Zoom like this. And every time, it makes me feel a little good about what I do because I'm able to see you guys as 20-year-olds again being idiots. You're not 40 anymore. There's this little twinkle and gleam in the eyes, and I'm talking to 20-year-old Marines again, reliving this moment step by step. And that's what I love about what I do as a historian, as I bring you guys back to those useful moments, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but most importantly, just the damn stupid shit that we get to giggle and laugh about, and I get these wonderful pictures painted in my head. So that's where I will stop today, and we will clearly pick back off from this. And if you guys have anything to add there on the end, please do. But gentlemen, thank you so much.
I do want to add one thing. Do y'all know what's the guy's name that was with Fox News forever? Bill something, Bill O'Reilly.
Oh yeah.
So I think in honor of Bill O'Reilly's freak out of playing the Sting video, I think we should have some music to play us out.
Okay. You want to bring
And
in the music?
I just so happen to have
Oh
a
no.
video brought to you by that one down there and me up here, depending on how this thing is recording and how you're looking at it.
Oh,
But blood through the window to play us out. What do you mean to play us out?
Has Zach seen this at all?
never. This is the
Oh
first. This is
God. Which
raw.
song are you playing Sheep Named Cecilia or are you playing
No, 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 no. We got to go
Broomstick
with
Tragedy?
Broomstick Tragedy. I think is it was our
We
number
got
one hit.
interviews. We did like MTV Cribs type interviews and all kinds of dumb shit,
Dude.
man.
And
And
that'll be
again, so
great.
the backstory of it is we're making fun of Shane's taste in music and also just the documentary style of like
Oh.
MTV and VH1 behind the music and just created this dumbass band and it kept us entertained and this happens after this operation that Kevin and I were on. We had a little bit of downtime afterwards before I went back to 3-2
I don't
and
think
yeah,
we
we
couldn't
took advantage
sleep.
of
Yeah.
that time. But yeah, so without further ado, here's Broomstick Tragedy to play us out. What does that mean to play us out? To end the show? All right, we'll
Oh
do it live.
God. Oh no. Just seeing it, I'm already like, oh no. Look at you, bro. That's my rifle sitting right there on the right, too. This was in my can. And I think that's Neil's bed you were next to.
Yeah, I didn't have a can because I wasn't Al Assad, so they would just put me up in an empty one, but it would always
Yeah.
be near the other guys. So yeah, I would just go and we'd just fucking hang out and shoot the shit and do this dumb stuff. Sorry to anybody that watches this and just in general. I'm sorry
Just
for
sorry.
that you
Yeah,
have to watch it.
just
It's
sorry.
bad. But here we go. No more explanations. No more nothing. Kill me as Killer Jake and K-Mac.
Pod. Yes. 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 I need a.
Can you all hear that?
I need a gun. That's what I need. I need a gun. What? Alright, all you bitches out there with blood through the window. Blood through the window. That's who we are. You. You. All of you. Oh. Blood through the window. Fireworks. Fireworks. All you people listening, you need to know. You need to know. You need to know who we are. We're buzzing through the window. You, Keller, Sheep. You know who we are. You know who we are. Killing people off damn One more time. We're gonna do it one more time. The audience loves us. We love them too. Listen to them screaming. Listen to them screaming. Hey, Cleveland, we love you. Walking to the grocery store, quietly listening, weeping to myself all the time. Now, all the time. Now, all the time.
That's the most retarded shit I've ever seen in my life.
It goes on way too long.
I really hope no one is ever able to decipher what I was talking about, because I'm 100% saying the ABCs, making sheep noises, and talking about fucking sheep. And it's the most disturbing song ever made.
And it went on way too long. I think there was that toward the end there of like You say like go back to the chorus, and I'm like, motherfucker, I don't know what the chorus is of this. You
You're
can see
not a
me go
real
like,
artist, is
all
what's going
right.
on. You really let the band down.
Right. And I don't know who walked in that cut us, but thank you.
It
I
was
do.
Neil.
It
Neil
was
came in and
Neil.
told us to shut up
Yeah.
because we were screaming. And
But
that's when we were cut.
but thanks to this camera setup, we have one of the most amazing amateur bands that could have made it big throughout the whole circuit.
Bro,
Honestly, no shit. If you uploaded this to YouTube right now, and then some Marines get a hold of this, either Lejeune or Pendleton, you are literal fucking rock stars. Like this would take off like a fucking rocket.
it was all in his amazing guitar playing skills. If he hadn't have been able to pick up a broom and put that such a unique sound out.
It's that blood through the
And
window sound. It's so unique.
you have to watch the interviews because we did like an MTV type interview with him, with Killer Jake, and then we did one with K-Mac. And all we do is talk shit about each other the entire time. Like we did his first. I remember filming it and thinking, wow, this guy really is trashing K-Mac. I'm gonna have to lay it on thick. So I mean we went from there and it was really something. We're really proud of ourselves. The band went a long way.
Hmm.
The Grammys we got were
Well deserved.
well,
Unexpected, but
we
well
earned
deserved.
this. Thank you.
Earned it.
That was my acceptance speech. I walked up, I got it. I said, "Thank you. I deserve this," and I walked away. That was it.
And then
I
you
mean,
shit in the corner.
just in case I can't get those like downloaded properly, what he's talking about, the interview stuff. I know at one point because you're interviewing me and I'm interviewing you, like
Yeah.
we fake a like British reporter or
Yeah.
whatever. And then you asked me like because I'm a genius at the guitar, and you're like, how many? Because I'm holding the broomstick, and you're like, how many strings are on that guitar? I'm like, about a million.
He had a fucking broom in his
I was like, about a million. And then
million.
we did like we claimed that we were from the mean streets of Cleveland, Oregon.
Cleveland, Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah. We started off like, yeah, we're from the mean
Honestly, I
streets of
know I
Cleveland.
know most people will see this and they'll think, "Oh, this is fucking stupid." Some people will probably laugh at it. I know I showed it to a lot of people, they laughed at it. I'm sure Lou, you showed it to a lot of people, they laughed at it. But no one will ever fully grasp what these videos, I think, meant to. I can speak for myself, what they meant to me. It was release. It was stress. It was violence. It was a culmination of so many things, and this was just the release of all of it. We like after we made these stupid ass videos, like these just really just dumb, funny videos, I felt so good. I mean, I just felt better. I felt more human and more. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe Luke can put it into better words. He's a writer. I just felt better. I felt more alive.
Yeah, and I didn't know. I thought we were just doing this just as a goof, and
Yeah.
we were, of course. But in true Comcam fashion, they decided to put it on the share drive. And these videos like kind of got a little traction, at least at Camp Ripper for the Marines. And I remember we did that, and then I went back to Alkheim, and then when I came back, I think I came back one more time before I went back, and then came back to leave. And I remember going to Chow Hall, and somebody recognized me, and was just like, "Blood through the window." I'm like, dude, we
Did you
are
sign an
famous, man.
autograph?
We're Camp Ripper famous.
What is Camp Ripper famous these days? Like Camp Ripper doesn't even exist anymore. Like
Right.
What is our fame? It's like a country that doesn't exist anymore.
We're
Like
the old lady on the Titanic. It only exists now in my
yeah,
memory.
we're Constantinople famous. That's that's it, man.
But
You
yeah,
So
know,
to anybody that I've ever told the story to but didn't show the video to, this happened and now you see it.
it's the proof of the stories that y'all are telling aren't bullshit, and here's the evidence. It's once again, it's just adding that layer there. Um,
yeah, there's
Go ahead.
a lot of what I say, a lot of what I've said so far. I think a lot, I've told people these stories before. I'm sorry to kind of interrupt you,
Hey,
but
don't
I've
apologize.
told people a lot of these stories over the years. It's been 20 years. People ask me about shit, I've met a lot of people just through work. Um, I tell a lot of these stories and I can see the look in their face where they're looking at me like, man, you're full of shit. Like, there's no way war was like that. There's no way that, the invasion of whatever city in Iraq was like that. But it absolutely was, man. It was just a bunch of individuals with their own hopes and aspirations and their own senses of humor who had to somehow cope through all of this bullshit. And that's exactly what you just watched in my opinion.
I mean, this is in many ways the positive of our generation, because I'm on the tail end of your generation. I am a millennial. That's just to clarify here for anyone watching this, it's true. Um, but it is the beauty of modern technology if they were to capture these moments of what is going through young Marines' minds. 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. It's not just combat 24/7. It's not just killing or patrols 24/7. You have moments like this of, like you guys said, the stupidity, the releasing, and just two individuals getting together for making the best of the situation they have and seeing how that works. Some people, yes, stupid. For me, on the other hand, outside of it, yes, it is funny. It's amazing to see what you're able to do with what you have. I mean, first of all, Kevin, that's excellent vocals you got there on the microphone. I mean, now is that a microphone that's sanctioned by any recording
That was
studio?
an
I don't know.
M9 Beretta microphone. That's exactly what it was.
That's a rare microphone, That's rare. Like, if the band gets famous after this, you have to get a microphone that looks like a Beretta, and that's that.
No question. I'll probably just use a Beretta. Honestly, I mean, if he doesn't use a fucking broom, what is broomstick tragedy? Like, it's not art if we're not artists. That's all I'm
This
saying.
this was
We are
beyond
we are
art.
probably the first acapella
Death
acapella
metal group.
core, metalcore, whatever you want to call it, whatever core, goofy core
And
band that there is, the one and only.
you're gonna have some OG fans out there that are gonna see this and be like, I saw this at Ripper. And
Well,
they're gonna be the first ones there, rocking their t-shirts, maybe rocking it thing of I was there. I saw this on the shared drive, as well as other debauchery.
every metal band, every single one that's ever existed came out with a slow song, like a slow,
Oh
pretty
God.
song that was like very melodic, and they didn't use their normal, like they didn't, rip up their fucking vocal cords.
I'm
And
coming home.
we had one. Blood Through the Window has
Mm-hmm.
two songs. I think we tried to do a Beastie Boys thing, but it flopped like bad.
Neither one of us can rap, and so it was like obvious. And it's
But we
like
can do death metal all day. Yeah, we were bad at the Beastie Boys thing. I think we tried it and then it flopped and we were like maybe we should write something and we did and then we tried it and it was like this is too embarrassing and we just got rid of it. But you know, Blood Through the Window, if it ever comes out again, people will have to hear our second song. Our second song was called A Sheep Named Cecilia. And it was about falling in love with a sheep named Cecilia. And there's just goats and cookies and a couple of sheep. So why not, So we definitely had a pretty song. He as a guitarist, I can't talk him up enough. It sounds like I'm like just like, just blowing him up, but I'm he was an amazing guitarist, especially through A Sheep Named Cecilia. It was an amazing song. It was an amazing piece, and his riffs really carried us through
It's Van Halen level. I mean, if I do say so myself, I just will
As a
go ahead
writer
and.
for Rolling Stone, this is the most honored I've ever been of being in such presence of such great musicians.
Dude, do
Do
you
you
want in on
have
these, man? We'll get you in on these.
do you
We
have
can
a sheep
redo
named
this.
Cecilia, or do you just have the one?
What's that?
Do you have a sheep named Cecilia?
It's in the folder that Shane shared with me.
Okay.
But
We'll
we
we'll
can
have to
say
do
we
it
can
next
save
time.
that one.
Yeah,
I think they've had enough right
we'll put it
now.
off. Too much blood through the window.
Yeah. No overexposure, no oversaturation here.
You won't
Like
be able to see through the
we're
window.
gonna make them want more.
This is
Yeah.
I need
gonna
more of
make
that blood through the
the
window.
viewers clearly want more. Your Spotify and
I
Apple
feel like
charts
we're
are
I feel like right now we're working toward a blood through the window reunion. Like we could come out with a whole album. I'm sorry, bro. This is the alcohol.
that's not the alcohol, that's the inner
Honestly, I
monologue.
think I think if we tried to do something like that right now, I would probably be much better at it than I was back then. Because how much of a farce my life has been because of everything that we've been talking about. My life has been like a success, I guess, but it's been a fucking joke to me because of all of, like, again, all of the things we've been talking about. I think about, you know, going through my day-to-day life and how much none of it means shit to me. And I think back of, I'm sorry to get real emo here for a second, but I think back on why it was. And it's not that those were the greatest years of my life, because they were probably some of the worst years of my life. But that's when I stopped progressing, I think, as a human being. I think, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a very positive way. I had learned who I needed to be as a person. I had learned who I needed to be as a human being to get through Earth. As an individual, I learned who I needed to be and how serious I needed to take everything because of, this fucking blood through the window shit. Like we watch this and how ridiculous it is, but it is what put my life in perspective for me. Yeah, as ridiculous as it is, I went through a lot of crummy, horrible events. And then I came back and I was able to come up with some stupid shit like that where I watch it now, 20 years later, and I'm laughing the entire time. Um, that is who I am. At first I was kind of like, that's who I was 20 years ago, and maybe I'm a little bit different, but like now that we're really talking about it and really getting into it, I'm the same person. I don't think I have changed, and maybe that's what PTSD is. Maybe that's what whatever is. It's just you stop advancing at some point. But that's where I am, and that's where I always will be. And I think that's where so many Marines are. Soldiers, airmen, sailors, whoever. We all go through this crap. And like I said, man, I was a shitbag Marine. Like there's so many people who are going to tell you like Kevin was a terrible Marine. But as Lou told you, I knew my job. I was really fucking good at it when it counted. Um, so yeah. I think I've said enough here. I'll let you guys talk, and I'll shut up. But I really hope you take what I said to heart. All of this is what meant the most to me. The combat, as much as that's what people want to hear, that's not what mattered. Blood through the window is what mattered. That's what I took away from the war, and that's what I want to keep with me, was just being a human being.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it any better than that.
I can't add anything to that except only say that a lot of the Vietnam guys I talked to that, are your grandfathers or fathers in that sense. A lot of overlap. So a lot of those stories those guys have told me, that I will happily tell you guys whenever you want to hear me nerd the fuck out. Um, I can't hammer home enough you guys willing to be, for me at least, um, some of the first of your generation to open up in as much detail as you have for this event 20 years ago. Um, you know, th- for a lot of your brothers and sisters, you guys are taking leaps that hopefully people that watch this interview that are Iraq or Afghanistan veterans will realize, hopefully that helps them in some way. That's what I hope I do through all this is help other veterans out there um, to come to terms with what they went through, to find someone to talk to, whether it's me or anybody else. But that's why I'm here, and that's why we are here. And guys, I can't thank it enough. This has been some of the best 4 hours I have spent this entire week, among all of the things. And like I said, if y'all are down for it, I got time off the recording to talk about some names that y'all were dropping, sort of ishing up. It's all
I'll
yours.
drop him. I'll fuck those
Oh, I
guys.
know you will. I don't, dog. I've been editing out those names like delete, 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 delete. But I'm
I can't help but always be like diplomatic on it just because I'm still in like
Your public affairs, yeah.
I'm still
Combat
kind of
camera,
I'm still
asshole.
kind of in that public affairs, public relations. So like everybody love me. I can't ruffle any wrong feathers or
Bro,
anything
I'm in
like
that.
that.
Hey, I'm a civilian and I'm a socialist. Fuck
Right.
all of this. I'm ready to move forward.
And
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And that was a dynamic too, like between and I know that we were kind of closing out there and I don't want to like
Man, don't
that
apologize.
was a perfect way to kind of end that part, but like that was kind of the dynamic between Kevin and myself is that Kevin is outspoken and I'm kind of a lot more reserved, but Kevin brought out in me what you saw there, like helped bring that out. Along with some of the guys from 3-2, because I actually have a series with them as well called Bubba Quests,
Oh no.
where we had gotten a care package, and for some damn reason they had put in those Bubba teeth in there, like the jacked up grills and American flag hats, and I'm like, what is going on here?
That's
Thank
awesome.
you,
Oh no.
thank you for the baby wipes and the hand sanitizer and the Bubba teeth.
That's
But,
amazing.
but the Bubba teeth, along with the baby wipes, got some of the most use out of him. But yeah, and that's me and their connection, and then this is me and Kevin's connection, and I'm sure there are thousands of hundreds, I mean, thousands of Marines that have
What is the
something
Marine Corps?
similar.
Yeah.
Really, what is the? I mean, it's funny. I think about the Vietnam guys and some of the connections they have. I'll tell one story here because it is similar. Um, Ernie Bernstein told me a story about in Way City, when him and some fellow Comcam and correspondents were looking for some shelter at night for the cold. They found this house they were in the new part of the city, south of the Perfume River, along Leloy Street, with 25, and they found liquor stash. I mean, we're talking top shelf shit, 1968 that they're having a time on. What do you expect Marines to do in an urban environment like Way City? And it,
Behave.
but yeah, behave is correct. Okay. And this is on recording with Bernie in one of the interviews we did. And but anyhow, he's talking and he's like, it's night. We've got on some ponchos because it's been raining and drizzly, and we're trying to get warm. And we found these pieces of cloth that we put on our face. And he said, it was warm and it kept our faces warm through the night. And he said we didn't realize until we woke up in the next morning that we'd put on used diapers on our face. That is what had kept us warm, and we did not know it. And he said, for the three of us that shared that room, anytime like we saw a diaper, it was like, ha, ha, this is what we had done. And like they all met up together, and that story was one of the first ones brought up of like, y'all remember when we put used diapers on our faces and that's what we slept through the night with?
I would say to that guy, if he told me that story, I'd be like, that's one I would keep to myself. Only because it would embarrass him so much.
The one thing, Kevin, and Lou, you can appreciate this, is that I hope to honestly connect you guys with Bernie just because of the overlap in many ways. He's like you guys. He does not give a damn. He is open up. Bernie is one of my closest friends. I'm very thankful. He's been a mentor to me because he also is a historian. He values what I do with Vietnam vets, but also you guys. He even has told me talk to the current generation of Iraq and Marines that went to Afghanistan, get their stories while it's fresh, because he's like, my story's important, sure, but he's like, that was 60 years ago. Talk to guys that were there 20 years ago. Um, So, with that being said, fellas, back to the point I said 35 minutes ago. I welcome home. That's the best thing I can tell you guys. I don't know if you ever heard that, but you'll always hear it from me. I've never been there. I never will, and never hope to be from the things I've heard. But I'm glad that I can document this in many ways and continue on the legacy for you, your family, and the MOS that we hope gets expanded for you guys. And that's another conversation point there. So, with that being said, I'm gonna turn this bad boy off.